I can rename it though.
Good evening, everyone. Today is May 13th, 2026. This is the meeting of the Gloucester School Committee. We have a very well attended meeting tonight. I will call.
Can't hear you.
Need a microphone.
Yeah, you kind of do.
So we don't have one.
Well, that's true.
Stand up.
I will speak as loudly as I can.
We have two amplifiers coming for people. We cannot do a microphone and have the facility here because it wrecks the online Zoom. Okay, we are looking at technologies to improve it, but right now we have, and they're coming to personal devices to amplify for individuals, which we'll hand out as soon as they get here.
And, okay, so the public is welcome to attend our meetings in person or alternatively link provided on the agenda. The meeting notice will reflect if the meeting is via Zoom only. As open meeting law allows, the school committee may continue to hold meetings remotely. Please note the in-person meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the remote session. I will call this meeting to order and state the Commission of Gloucester Public Schools is for our students to be successful, engaged, lifelong learners. And I ask that you join me in the salute to the flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. First, we will just introduce who's around the table. We'll start with Jarvis.
Dr. Jarvis. Director of Special Education.
Amy Castro, Assistant Superintendent.
Ben Lummis, Superintendent.
Melissa Prince, School Committee.
Kathy Clancy, School Committee.
William Melvin, School Committee.
Heather Daigle, School Committee.
Paul Lundberg, School Committee.
Andrea Farrell, Preschool Director for Gloucester Preschool.
Stephanie Dooley, State Recording Secretary.
And online we have.
And Laura Weeson, School Committee.
Okay. Does someone have in the audience their speaker on their, if they're watching in the audience, do you have your speaker or is it one of us that's yeah, go okay. First order, we do not have our student council advisory. They are all getting ready to graduate, and it's typical that they have kind of closed off their time with us last week, last meeting, and you know we wish them well, and they have been a terrific asset to joining our meetings every school committee meeting. The first item of business will be oral communications. Given that we have a public hearing this evening, and no comments regarding the budget until that particular time in the meeting, so that it's relevant to the topic at hand. And I will read the rules on public comments. Oral communications, the public shall have the opportunity at every school committee meeting to be heard under oral communications. Oral communications shall allow any resident who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to the school committee business to appear before the school committee, state their problem without debate, and the matter may be referred to the proper subcommittee. For items that are on the agenda, members of the public may address the committee with the permission of the chair. Persons speaking under oral communication shall be limited to 3 minutes each and shall submit a copy of their prepared statement to the recording secretary. So whoever would like to speak.
And I'm the timer, so you have 3 minutes and
I only need one.
2 minutes and 45 seconds. I'll let you know that you're down to 58 seconds.
My name is Mike Johnson. I live at 1214 Schoolhouse Road. And I'm here tonight to congratulate our mayor, Paul Lundberg, for having the courage to make a no vote at the school committee meeting. 29th of April, he voted no on a budgetary matter. I hope that doesn't come again for tonight. Okay. It was the first no vote of this school year. There have been 83 motions, 500 individual votes, and the first one, only one no. Last year, we had better than 100 motions, about 800 single votes. Only one no, Nick Minio. He's no longer with the school committee. I'm not sure there's any correlation. I don't understand how a group of 7 disparate people can always vote yes without any apparent deliberations or debates within the sunshine of this mandate from the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, my name is Jessica DeLisi. I live at 14 McKay's Drive in Rockport, and I am an ESP at Gloucester High School. I was compelled to come here today to express my sincere gratitude to the school committee for their fervent advocacy on behalf of our schools. As a Gloucester High School education support professional, I spent a lot of times in these meetings over the past few years feeling unsupported and unseen. On April 29th, those feelings were put in the rear view. In the last meeting, I witnessed a committee that unapologetically went to bat for our students and our staff. For that, I want to say thank you. I want you to know that it was seen, it was appreciated, and it feels great to be on the same team. I also came here to address you, Mr. Mayor. During your campaign, you spoke many times about the importance of quality education. You said you wanted to, quote, repair the trust so that we can get back to educational excellence. You also stated that, quote, school is the soul of our community. These are sentiments that brought hope with the election of a new administration. You said, quote, the key to my success is my ability to listen and collaborate with civility and respect. What I witnessed at the April 28th meeting was anything but civil or respectful. You dismissed the knowledge of our female committee members, saying that they were, quote, winging it and insisting on, quote, no more off the top of my head kind of stuff. Our committee came to the table with all of the facts. They know the contracts.
It works.
And you tried to imply that they did not simply because you did not. Moving forward, I ask that you think about how you speak to the members of this committee. I would ask that you offer the same civility and respect to the elected officials of this committee that happen to be women as you give to the man that was hired as superintendent. I also ask that you reevaluate your role as school committee member. Your job at this table is to advocate what is best for our students, not what is best for your proposed city budget. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marcy Sadlowski, and I am a resident at 26 Harrison Avenue. I have the privilege of coming before you this evening as not only a lifelong Gloucester resident, but also a career public educator and a parent to a rising kindergartner to be enrolled this coming fall. The role of the school committee and city council is a rough one, to say the least. You are tasked with incredibly difficult decisions for which there are no easy solutions, knowing that many within our community will feel the impact of the choices you make and likely be dissatisfied by virtue of there simply never being enough resources to go around. Such is the way of a public servant in uncertain times. Adults like myself can be pragmatic in their awareness of what it means to balance a budget and know what it means to always make do with a little bit less. I lose all sense of pragmatism, however, when our discussions tend toward passing these burdens onto our children, to whom we owe every educational opportunity. Make no mistake, the professionals of the Gloucester public school system are seasoned in their ability to work with ever thinner means in their steadfast commitment to fostering all reforms.
Excuse me, I think you're talking about the budget allocation right now, right?
Is there a separate time for that?
Yes, so we're gonna do the public hearing on the budget that we voted on at our last meeting. And we'll take comments at that.
Thank you.
But thank you.
It was posted for 7 o'clock for the public hearing. You will be the first one to speak.
Cheers.
After our presentation.
No problem.
Great, but thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Oh. But I see somebody.
Hi, Dan Grimm, One Bickford Way. I just want to say that last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. And we received a lovely message from this committee saying you are our biggest cheerleaders. It was also the same time that people were getting notice that they would lose their jobs. It was a hard pill to swallow, and words kind of felt hollow until last night when I went to the city council meeting and I saw Bill Melvin, I saw Kathy Clancy stand up and cheerlead for Gloucester.
And Andrea, who is not here yet.
Andrea was,
She's at a concert.
she was there with her son Henry, and you were there to speak for us, to represent us. We've been through some hard times together, and that moment said to me that there's restorative connection and a focus on what we all fought last year. Even if we disagreed, we stood for one thing, which was Gloucester's children, and we stood for our educators. And you showed me last night that your words were not words, but they had meaning, they had value, and you took action to support their words. And from me to you, I am deeply, deeply appreciative of that support. Thank you.
Seeing no other hands raised, people stepping to the podium, we will continue to recognitions. Anybody have anything to Mayor?
I have a recognition. So as you all know, I submitted a budget to the city council last week that included a number for these schools, which was different than the number that the school committee voted on. And I have received a lot of response to that budget and to the whole concept of what we're trying to do here. And I want to give a recognition to all the people who have written to me and pointed out their feelings about how important it is to collaborate, to do everything we can to make this product of the schools the excellence that our children deserve. And I am committed to doing that. Now, you all know the rules. We have to submit a balanced budget to the state. And that means if we give take money away from, or give money to somebody in the budget, we have to take it away from somebody else. And that's really, really hard. But we're going to work really hard on it. And we're keeping in mind the kind of values that you all have expressed to me, both showing up tonight and in all the dozens of emails I've got about the budget. So I want to give a recognition to everyone who spoke up. Thank you very much.
Yes, I would like to recognize the arts festival that's going on around town and in performances, and I hope people pay attention to the schedule. Right now, it ends tomorrow night. The elementary art is in the Sawyer Free Library, and the exhibit's amazing. All sorts of talented work, and then that comes down in high school and middle school. High school goes up next. High school goes up at the library. So hopefully many of the community members can have a nice glimpse into our school and the great work that our students are doing under the teachers' guidance. Yes, that's and so take advantage of the other activities and performances that will happen over the course of the next few weeks. Okay. Next item of business is the consent agenda. Does anybody have any items they'd like to remove? I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. We have to do a roll call vote because Laura is joining us remotely.
Chair Clancy.
Yes.
Mr. Butler.
Yes.
Ms. Lisa.
Yes.
Ms. Prince.
Yes.
Ms. Stagel.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Favor. Next is deliberations on education issues and the superintendent's report.
Thanks, Ms. Clancy. Good evening, everyone. So we will, we have a few things on the agenda tonight. Let me just pull up the presentation. So as we say in the Gloucester Public Schools, every day matters. Everybody belongs. and every student learns. Tonight, we're gonna have my report, some news happening around the district, around the schools. Then we'll have a presentation from Andrea Perella, our preschool director, on the preschool school improvement plan for next year. And then also have a second reading of the auto shop service fees, which Jack Porter and Brenda Wassing and others have been instrumental in Bud Mayfield have been instrumental in creating and helping us with. And we'll go through as much of that as we can until 7 o'clock, and maybe finish up before 7 o'clock. We'll see. The public hearing will start. After the public hearing, at the public hearing, I'll give a presentation on the proposed budget, and then public comment, and then we'll return to the regular meeting of the school committee, just so folks know how things operate. So first and foremost, the preschool is once again providing swim lessons in partnership with YMCA. So I really appreciate that, especially living in a coastal town or a coastal city. Really essential for students to learn to swim and water safety early on. And it is no small thing for the preschool staff to get their little tykes on a bus into swimsuits, swim, okay, dry them out of the swimsuits, back on the bus, and back to school. So we really appreciate all the effort that takes, and also the just great opportunity that preschool and the YMCA are offering our youngest children. Plumville Elementary, they did Beauty and the Beast earlier this year, thanks to Robin for Kids Foundation, and also also leadership from Emily Siegel. The 4th and 5th grade, the cast was able to go into Boston to see the Opera House. For some students, that was their first time into Boston to see the Broadway version of Beauty and the Beast. The reports from our kids and our staff was that it was Vanessa's performance, of course, but also our kids were just great. They were well dressed, looking sharp, but also really just were models, students, citizens there. So really appreciate the staff effort, the effort from the support from Robin for Kids, and also, of course, the kids making just a great show of themselves and a great show. West Parish Elementary, so they're having their book fair later this month. And then a few things that are happening at West Parish, sorry. So first of all, the book fair happening May 18th to the 22nd. Grade 3 is going to have force and magnetism enrichment in the library. So I think that's an after-school program. The 4th grade, will have archaeologist Dr. Baker visit them in the library there this month. And then also Maritime Gloucester, grade 5 will be visiting Maritime Gloucester in their annual trip on the Ardell. So as I've said and will continue to say, this time of year is about traditions and celebrations, obviously leading up to graduation and beyond. And here are some of the significant spring events at the West Parish School. Really appreciate Temple Ahabat Ahim of Gloucester. You just accepted a generous donation from them to our elementary schools, providing warm or cold weather clothing, warm clothing for our students. Just really appreciate that donation from the Temple. A really fabulous presentation this week at the high school. Just yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, Werner Salinger, who's a German-born Holocaust survivor, came to the school. He fled Nazi Germany as a child after witnessing Kristallnacht. Just really want to thank Elisa D'Antonio for helping set up this program. It's part of our genocide education committee and the grant money they're using from the state. Really appreciate a powerful presentation. Mr. Salinger emigrated to the United States in 1939, and then became a U.S. Air Force intelligence officer, returning to Germany, and then really built a life that bridges two countries. Marrying a German woman, and then also today, as we benefit from, as our students benefited from, really helping younger generations understand the injustice and the impact, not only of the Holocaust, but it's ongoing in our society, in our world. And really appreciate his helping our students learn, and also really appreciate just the great questions that our students asked, the real respect they showed Mr. Salinger. And again, really appreciate the Genocide Education Committee, and particularly Elisa D'Antonio for putting this support and making it. Gloucester High School. So again, as always, again and again, in so many ways, our students are supporting not only other students, but the community. Here are a couple examples. The Gloucester Youth Leadership Council, which is a combination of our students, our work, and also the Department of Public Health. They attended the NAN projects, Empowering Youth Voices, Mental Health Summit. So I appreciate them being there. They represented the Gloucester community and also collaborated with peers from across the state. The workshops were focusing on health advocacy and students finding their voice to support others. Really appreciate this opportunity. These sorts of things are always energizing, inspiring for students, and also are an example of how they can play a larger role, not only in Gloucester, but outside of Gloucester. Really appreciate that leadership. Gloucester High School, so our Navy Junior ROTC program is really having just a lot of success lately and doing new and different things tied to their work. So you have on the top there, the Gloucester High School Color Guard presenting the colors at Gillette Stadium for prior to one of the Boston Legacy games. That's the Women's Professional Soccer League Boston team. Really appreciate senior Eleonora Connolly, junior Destiny Smith, junior Ivana Serrano, and freshman Sadie Franklin. They're in the photo up above. They're the ones in the uniforms. The other person is the woman who sang the national anthem. She's not an ROTC member. And then on the bottom, this is pretty amazing, the Raiders competition. So the first time in a while, our ROTC students have participated in the Raiders competition. This competition included, among other things, a 50-meter tractor tire flip, a 3.1-kilometer run, building and traversing a 70-foot building first, and then traversing a 70-foot suspended rope bridge, and then taking it down. A 1.5 mile heavy pack and load carry obstacle course. That's on the right there, the photo. And then also a 300-pound canoe carry, and finally a tug of war. That's a lot in one day. I get exhausted reading about it, so I really appreciate all the effort and leadership our ROT students are showing, not only the school, but also the broader community. Gloucester Lacrosse also helping out against serving, as so many of our student athletes do. First of all, congratulations to Jaden Ciabarini, 500th career save for Jaden. He's had a fabulous year, both on stage and also on the court and on the athletic field. And then really appreciate the boys fishermen lacrosse team helping campus pickup on Friday to help keep the school clean, especially as the spring winds continue to blow things all around our campuses. Gloucester baseball, so another real significant accomplishment. Roy Gentile, his 100th career win as a head coach of Fisherman Baseball. And we have a short quote from him, thinking back to win, as he said, thinking back to win number one. I've gotten this with so many awesome kids that commit to me in the program, and each one of them is very special. I love every single win. I love every single coach that's coached with me and volunteered their time. So just a shout out to Rory for all his hard work and success. So many students. So that's the update from Raleigh District. Any questions before we move on to Ms. Perella? Andrew. So Andrews will starting on our series of school improvement plans that come before the school committee to review and then vote on. She is talking about the preschool and the minnows there. We will then do elementary school, middle school, and typically do high school in the summer. Andrew, thanks for it.
Great. Well, thank you for having me. I'm not used to having a crowd, so I don't know where to look. Who should I present to? I try to go back and
The
forth.
school committee.
It's great having everybody here. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the preschool. There are some new school committee members, so I'll probably share some things that you guys already know about us and what we're doing and where we're moving going forward. Right. Okay, so we're gonna continue to focus on providing quality education, early childhood education, based on the plan for ongoing improvement that has been adopted through the Gloucester Public Schools, and also through the initiatives that have been outlined in the CPPI grant. The CPPI grant is the Commonwealth Preschool Partnership Initiative, and it plays a big role in what we're doing for the Gloucester early childhood education community. The CPPI grant, it's our 4th year going into it. We are anticipating being levelly funded going into the following year for $659,000-ish. I can tell you more about it when we get to that slide specifically, but we'll talk about that as well. So we have 3 goals. It was interesting kind of thinking about this year, since I've been completing my 4th year. We had some pretty concrete new things that we were rolling out as we were moving forward. But in working with the staff and kind of looking at what we've been doing, we're going to be taking a look at what's happening globally in the preschool and really focus on some specific areas that we need to focus in on more specifically based on what we're seeing with population of students that we're working with, as well as the programming that we have structured and staff that we have available to work in the program. So looking at all of that, we've decided to continue to working on strengthening our social and emotional development and school readiness in our preschoolers, improving our inclusion practice and access for all learners, and strengthening family and community partnerships. So social and emotional development. I'll talk about our focus areas, our action steps, and what our desires are going to be. We spoke earlier at the beginning of the year, we kind of touched upon how we were seeing shifts in the social and emotional readiness of kiddos when they're coming to school, the increase that we're seeing in behaviors, students' inability to self-regulate, which of course you come into preschool with an anticipation of that's what we're going to be teaching kids to do. But behaviors and some of these things have shifted pretty significantly to the extent that we want to make sure that we're fostering that development and providing the resources for staff and students to be successful. So we are looking to expand our social and emotional learning opportunities, increase consistency of classroom supports, support independence and self-help skills, and increase play-based learning in schools. So obviously play-based learning is the foundation to early childhood education. There's been like waxing and waning in what's happening in the schools. More recently, there has been a bigger push towards curriculum and pushing that onto kids so that they're going into kindergarten with readiness skills, which we have adopted and we are implementing our curriculums. We will continue to do so. But what we found is that there is a real increased need for kids to take some steps backwards to the basics. I think I talked to you about that in the fall. So we're going to be focusing on how we're going to be integrating that more into the classrooms, but not getting rid of any of the curriculum that we're going to be exposing the students to, but helping them gain those skills so that socially and emotionally they're able to move forward. The way that we're going to be doing that is the continued implementation of our social and emotional curriculum. So currently we're using the second steps. Right now we have a school adjustment counselor who is working in each of the classrooms. She goes in and she does a whole group lesson. She also works with kiddos in small groups. If we feel that that's a need for the students, she can do it through general education. She can also do it through special education. So those services will stay consistent in the preschool. We're very, very lucky to have a full-time school adjustment counselor for preschool. I've said this before. Many districts do not have that. And I've actually been asked by other school districts, how are we managing this? And this is a big, big reason why we're able to push this forward in collaboration with all the staff. We're going to continue to train staff on development, behavioral and developmental supports. So currently we have our whole building safety care trained. We're going to continue that. So once we got everybody up and going, it's just a 1-year annual re-up of their certification. That does include restraints, but really the focus for our staff is just the de-escalation strategies. And the benefit that we're seeing with that is that we're able to use consistent language throughout the day. So staff knows how promptly what are we doing. We also know watching what's going on. You know, for teachers managing a behavior, something's happening. Teachers aren't going to jump in and offer something new because everybody's aware that we're following a consistent plan for kiddos, unless we're asked to do so. Consistency of sensory regulation strategies and visual support. So that is just huge in how we're working with our kids and just making sure as much as we can, being consistent with the staff that is intervening, the plans are being followed consistently. And also the visual supports are being used consistently. So just making sure that we're following steps moving along. And family communication around developmental milestones. So family communication is huge. Obviously, it's a very big part of early childhood. Parents are sending their kids to their first learning experience. It's their first experience with schools. So keeping them informed on what we're doing with their children, helping them understand the supports that we have in place, and then providing them those same supports and language so that they can foster at home. Through all of this, we're hoping that increased student independence will come out of this, improving peer engagement, reducing behaviors, and having stronger home and school. Goal 2, inclusive practices and accessibility. So appropriate student grouping and practices is going to be a focus area. It always is. And like I said, it's just more of us honing in on the practices that are already in place and finding ways to fine tune them and do them more efficiently and more effectively. We're consistently looking at how students are placed in our program and how we can best support them. We're also, somebody said it earlier tonight, it's you only have limited resources to do what you need to do. So we'll have meetings and we'll talk about kiddos, what supports they need, how we're going to be able to give them those supports and what shifts we might have to talk about. And just today we're at a meeting, I think out of the box. We've already out of the box, let's go further out of the box. So just finding ways to support kids appropriately with the resources that we have and continuously in communication about that as a whole building. Effective use of AAC devices. This came up this year. We didn't really get the opportunity to dive too deeply into it. We do have a population of students in the preschool that requires an AAC device to communicate. And we have been really fortunate that we've been able to provide building-based iPads to classrooms. So they have classroom iPads so that we can trial AAC devices with kiddos and see if we feel like they're going to work and they're going to be accessible for them. And then going forward to have an AAC evaluation. Oftentimes, AAC. Alternative assistive, augmentative and assistive communication. It's a iPad that students have access to applications to help them develop language. So it's giving them a voice when they don't have one. Super effective way to help kids develop their language skills. That said, sometimes it hasn't been the most appropriate way, or we haven't been able to follow through with helping them access that. So we really want to take a look at how we're assigning kids devices and then really hone in on what supports need to be put in place for teachers, for the kiddos, for the families, so that it's an appropriate device for them to have. And if it's not, trying other means of communication before we step to that, so that it's something that works well for the kids. So we want to do that better.
The AAC device typically used for kids who are nonverbal or very limited verbal skills. And it's a remarkable way to help them communicate. They can't otherwise. And one of the real strengths of that is it allows them to participate more fully in classes, but also reduce their frustration level around communication, and that helps them to just have more effective days, better days, and really also express the learning. Very hard for them. So yeah, very powerful tool.
Building accessibility and improvements. So something that happened last year, well known, we purchased the building, you guys purchased the building. So as a result, we were able to get our playground. So we have an actual accessible playground for our kiddos to play in. We also have seen different needs come upon the building. So we've had to make sure that we have devices and things in place for those students to be able to access the building. We've had to restructure classrooms for kiddos who have needed supports around walking and those types of things. Now that we have access to this, I'm sorry, I'm going slow. I got that. Just put the music on. All right, I'll keep going. So anyway, we're gonna look at that, how we can make our building more accessible for kids and add additional supports. Toilet bowls that are the right size. Those types of things. So just kind of looking at the building as a whole and making it fit our friends that attend them.
I like the fence that you put also to help
Me
with the
too.
bus drop off.
It's turned out to be
obvious,
but the
it's
bus
nice
stop.
that it's there.
I like the bus stop. Sort of. Appropriate use of break spaces. So it's been a topic that's come up a bunch, and there are new laws being worked on around that. We do have a space in the preschool. We want to make sure that we're following the guidelines and accessing it appropriately for the kiddos. So we're going to look at the classroom supports and how we're going to be managing that, collecting data on the AAC devices, continuing collaboration between teachers and related service providers, and evaluate our physical spaces for accessibility and sensory needs. All of this so that we can have increased student participation, improved communication and access, stronger inclusion opportunities, and more efficient staff support systems. Okay, family and community partnerships. So this is a great one. I think it's one of the most important things that happens at preschool. Having families readily involved in what's going on with their kiddos when they enter school and setting that tone for them when they come into the system is going to help them as they move forward. And then the community partnerships is huge because we are only one piece of early childhood in the public schools in the city of Gloucester, and there is so much more that can contribute to the children's development. And there are so many other early learning centers that we need to focus on and make sure that we're reaching and teaching those kids as well. So it's a huge piece of what we do. One thing that we're working on right now in terms of that is just improving the pre-K to K transition planning. And DESE had rolled out transition to kindergarten toolkit. And because we are a CPCI community, we were able to pilot that this year. So we've been collaborating with the elementary building principals and the assistant superintendent, education director about how we can make this process more efficient so that receiving schools are understanding the kiddos that they're getting. We're able to teach them about all the friends that we already have that we know are going to K, support parents with registration, and then also help them understand the friends that are coming to them from our partnering locations. The goal being that going forward, we'll be able to access more of our early childhood centers and prepare buildings for the kiddos that are coming to them. It's hugely important and good. Continued collaboration with early intervention, big, huge piece. So it happens consistently, once or twice a week. I'm talking to EI, either about kiddos that are coming into pre-K, within the next month, or what they see coming up. So they're helping us forecast what we're going to need in terms of supports moving forward. It helps us design what programs we're going to need to be putting in place, and shifts happen often. We have not had the same landscape of classrooms since I've been here. And I think that they would say it hasn't been the same for them. So
Can you just so that more folks who may not know about early EI or early intervention and what it is, and then how it interacts with.
Okay. So early intervention is put in place for students or for kiddos 0 to 3 years old. Nutrition, you can access services yourself, and it's if parents are seeing a developmental need support, they can refer them to EI. Early intervention will provide an arena style assessment just like we do. And if the kiddos are seen to be eligible for supports, they'll get support in the home through early intervention, through a developmental specialist, speech pathologist, physical therapist, whatever it is that the students need. When the kiddo is going to be turning 3 years old, they'll reach out to us about 8 months before their birthday and say, let's get together. We'll have a EPC, which is a transition planning meeting. And we'll talk about the student. We'll talk about the need for evaluations. If there is a need for evaluation, we'll move forward, and my staff will help support that process. We'll determine if the kiddo needs any support. If they do, by their 3rd birthday, we want to have them in our program and receiving services, however that's going to look. The reason, well, it's important because we need to continue that trajectory of supports once they're 3, and also just constantly communicating with them because it's going to change our needs in the building. And it happens fast. So we have a great relationship with KFAN, and we recently started working with Aspire. I have a meeting with them this week to talk about how we can collaborate to move forward. Part of what I want to start doing with them more is our next goal is just a reduction of duplicating services or duplicated efforts. So we need to work more efficiently to get what we need to get done. And we've recently been talking about how could we take the evaluations that early intervention is doing and use those to help us guide decision-making around eligibility, so that the staff that's working with the pre-K will have less time that they need to be putting into that and more time interfacing with the kiddo, which is what we really want them to be doing the majority of their time. Also, parents are accessing services outside of the pre-K. So there's centers that they might be sending their children to for services. There's speech language people working with their kiddos outside school. There's counselors working in and out of the home with kids. Just making sure that we're collaborating and working together so that people aren't working in silos and we're all working for the betterment of the children. Taking a look at where we can kind of stop those things from happening and work more collaboratively so that it's getting done more efficiently. Expansion of enrichment opportunities. So the KFAN YMCA, they received that grant, and this is the 2nd year that they've asked us to participate. First year, we were like, what? I said, okay, we go so much. And it was amazing. So 15 kids on a bus, go to the YMCA, just like he said, We have to change them, get them to the pool, out of the pool, change them, get them back. We said, we'll see what happens. It was such a positive experience. So this year when they asked us to go back, we said, absolutely. The first year, the staff was a little apprehensive. Next year around, I said, who wants to go? Just give me your name and we'll pull it. So I got the majority of the staff wanted to attend. The classroom that was pulled is our substantially separate classroom. So our most intensive needs students, and we require high staff to support that happening. It was or is the most amazing. If you're ever around the YMCA on Tuesdays at 9:15, you need to check it out. The kids are responding so well to it, and it's just globally helping all their development. So I've reached out to the YMCA to talk about how we can make this something that happens for us year round for all the classes, make it part of our curriculum if it's possible. I don't know. It's just in the talking, from the talking stage. But there's a lot of benefit to that. And also we're talking about, we just talked the other day about bringing a program into the school. It's called inclusion, but they spell the inclusion. It's inclusion. It's why, sorry, I didn't write it down for you guys. Anyway, it's run by a man who is a BCBA, and he brings pretty much like an adaptive PE program into the schools. So we do a lot of enrichment. My administrative assistant, like what she loves to do, and she's constantly looking for ways to bring things into the program that are going to be meaningful. But having looked at the things that we're doing, we could do it better. So this could be a program that we're going to be interested in. They're actually going to give us a pilot session if it's something that we like. Make the investment into doing that. And any other ways that we can bring enrichment into the schools. We did have the petting zoo last year, and I know he doesn't want me to keep talking. That was really cool. We have the petting zoo.
Can you explain the photo on the right there and what is actually on the child's head, please?
So that was Curious Creatures, and I believe, what was
Chinchilla.
The chinchilla.
You were debating and you thought it was a squirrel. It looks like a very fat squirrel, but
It looked like a rabbit. That was chinchilla. So Curious Creatures, so that's something that has been coming in over time, and it's a great time for the kiddos. We would maybe be doing something a little bit different. Looking at those things. What makes most sense to help the students move forward? So the action steps are the stronger transitions, increasing family workshops and resources, expanding on our partnerships through our grant that's going to help with enrichment of what we're doing amongst the community, collaborating with the EI, and exploring opportunities for enrichment to help us have better outcomes. The next, last, I'll go. Okay, so I'll summarize this. It's basically, this is just all about the CPPI grant and the resources that it's brought into the community. The funding has been amazing, and what we've been able to do with it is offer our special education services to our 3 partnering locations, Cape Ann, YMCA, kindergartens, and pathways for children. In addition to that, we've been able to bring similar curriculums into the programs. We've brought coaching into the programs. Behavioral supports have gone into all those programs. So we have grown significantly. It has taken on a life of its own. And the team that works out there doing the work every single day has been highly recognized by the state. We were featured. The Department of Education and Early Childhood Education and Care came to Gloucester, and we did a presentation specifically about the work we're doing as an itinerant team. We're going tomorrow to Department of Education in Everett to work with communities who have not yet received the grant, but they're looking towards receiving funding, not through CPPI. It's a different type of a grant, how to run an itinerant team. So Kristen and I are going to go and talk about that. And then on Monday, we're going to Bridgewater to talk with all of the state, everybody in the state that's received the grant. And we have been specifically asked to be on the panel to talk about the itinerant team. So they have just taken this and run with it, and it is amazing. We're so grateful to have it. It's been such a benefit for us, collaborating with our early childhood centers, Child Find, helping us be able to service the kiddos that really require the specially designed instruction that our staff is an expert at, and being able to keep kids in their parentally placed locations. So we're up to having 30 students on IEPs outside of our program. So that would be more than 3 classes that we do not have space for. So for many reasons, this benefits the community hugely. And we're going to be applying for our renewal. I'm getting the feeling it's going to be fine. They've said we're levelly funded and they're asking us to talk to them. And we're gonna continue to look at the needs assessment that was completed and work on our strategic plan to roll out some things that we did not get a chance to do yet. So just how we can help parents with tuition reimbursement and things like that. So that will be a big thing that we continue to focus on. And there are many things outlined in the strategic plan. If you want, we can take a look at it. And that's where we're gonna be going next year.
Wow.
Right?
Right.
Oh, no.
First, I just want to say I'm sorry you feel rushed. This is an important conversation. Probably should have been scheduled differently because this is good to hear. And thank you for all that you do because you are truly a leader in this department and have made huge strides in the preschool since you came on 4 years ago. So thank you for that. Can you just tell me briefly, how many students do we have in the preschool altogether?
Right now, we're about 110 right now.
We have 110 and
We're not full.
not
We're close to being.
And out of that 110, how many would you say are high needs? Either through disability, behavior, for any other reason, income,
That's a tough one.
say it's like 60%, 40%. Just trying to monitor it because it's been over the years. And it could be higher, it could be lower,
40%.
40%,
Would you agree with that?
But when you saying high needs, you're saying special education,
both.
well, they're different, yeah,
Well, they're both, they're all high needs to me.
right,
Special education is a higher need and
So
behavioral is a
with
need.
the whole, so if you look at kids on IEP,
Yeah.
the ratio, as you know, it's like 49% of friends that are
Yeah.
considered their peer model.
Right.
And 51% students are identified as having special education needs. So you could look at it like that,
Right.
but within that, we have kiddos in that 49% that are not on an IEP, but also are having, all kinds of different things could be happening. And toilet training, I don't know if I talked to you about that already, is a huge thing right now. We're having kiddos that are going into kindergarten, we were just talking about it today, that are not yet toilet trained. We did a bye-bye diaper boot camp, we had a party plan, but they're.
Well, there's a lot of needs is I was trying to understand, right? It's not,
There are a lot of needs, yeah.
and we have one adjustment counselor.
Yes,
How many students see that adjustment counselor?
every student in the building.
Every- So we have one student adjustment counselor that sees 110.
Just through,
Throughout the
like,
day.
the push-in model, she works with all of them. And then certain students are identified as requiring that support on their
Yeah.
IEP through an evaluation process. And then other students can access it through general education. So I had called a parent today, something's happening with the child specifically, parent gives permission, people can sit with that child and work with them, for under general education. And that's just a conversation with parents, let's just have this conversation for 3 weeks, or I'll see this child for this long. It can vary, which is the great thing about the school adjustment counselor, because it isn't found by an IEP, and I think social and emotional things aren't always,
So your plan is very focused, targeted for next year, your improvement plan.
Yes, it's interesting in thinking about it. Like I said, it wasn't like I can say this is a concrete thing we're rolling out. It's kind of just more looking at the overall building, what's happening, and how we can better put in our systems that are in place to make advances.
And I'm just trying to understand with the staff that we have and how what we're working on that. Are we setting you up for success in this improvement plan, or are there gonna be obstacles? The staffing obstacles or incoming students that are higher needs. I know you talked about that
Yeah.
last year.
We have to look at it continuously, and we do know, so some of the students that came up this year required one-to-one support.
Mhm.
What we have to do, it's not a workaround. There are students coming up, I know of, in the, towards the spring, that if the trajectory stays the same, they will require one-to-one support. So those things have to be in place in order for the student to access services. Right now, where we're at, we took a cut last year on some of our PSP support. We are, I would say, functioning on as we can't do without anything that we don't have. Everything that we have, we absolutely need to have in place in order for us to continue to grow. And there will be a need for more supports inevitably because of what's going to be happening. So this year, we're opening the building, or in the fall, we'll have 2 substantially separate programs. We currently have one, There are 9 students in that program right now. None of them are going to kindergarten. So all those little friends are remaining. And then I have about 10 initial IEP meetings happening. Well, that might be it. I might have exaggerated. I don't have the number in front of me because I have some going into the fall too. But within that, I already know that there are 3 students that have been identified as having significant special needs requiring that type of programming. I don't yet know through the evaluation process to learn what kinds of supports they're gonna need. Nothing has come up that any of these friends are gonna need like a one-to-one support. Sometimes they come to us and it's not an identified one-to-one support, but in order for the teacher to run the rest of the programming, we might have to assign a paraprofessional to that person. That's why we're constantly talking about who can do what, where, when, and why. The staff is really good about, we're super flexible in how we're working with kids and it shifts. Sometimes there's a need in one classroom. It just happened recently. Somebody was sharing a paraprofessional with 2 classes. We kind of got things stable there. Another classroom needed that support, so we pulled that person and put them in place. So we're okay where we are right now. We could not do it, and we will need going forward.
Quick question, what's 110 now, Andrea? What's max?
130.
130. And you said the Y program, is that on a grant, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. Do we know, is the Y reapplied for that grant or is it?
So the swim program is
Yeah.
the WISE grant.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know if they've yet reapplied. I'm meeting with them. I think I have a meeting with them Friday about the swimming.
Last question is, your last comment was desired outcomes, I think. How is that? Okay, so you got a desired outcome. Is there data that's collected from that kind of desired outcome? And how is that translated? How is that implemented per se? Or is it just kind of, okay, here's the desired outcome and what?
Some of the things we will collect specific data around. Like some behavioral supports, how are the students responding to the behavioral supports, what types of things need to be in place to make those things successful. So they'll be collecting data around that. They'll be collecting data around the AAC devices, how we're using those, how the implementation of them going to want to continue that going forward, or we need to make a shift. And then some of those things, not necessarily collecting data around.
Just to echo Melissa's comment, like, what a great way for young families to get their kids into the Gloucester Public Schools, get a good head start, so to speak, and really get off on the right foot through the preschool. So you're doing a wonderful job. Appreciate all you.
Thank you. And
your staff.
They are.
Yeah.
I walked into a building that has been in existence for a very long time, and the staff that's there has been there for a very long time. So it was pretty easy for me to walk into something that was running really well. And then they were super open to any different ideas that I've had, and so for them and their willingness.
I have one question. Do we have students that are out of district at the preschool age or?
We do not in Gloucester. Not at this time.
Let's vote on this tonight.
You can choose to, you don't need to. Well, not another night, it's up to you.
We would go to approve this plan. I think we need to see.
No, I don't.
I want to make a motion.
What she said is awesome, making it happen, it's the question.
What's the motion would be to vote on preschool improvement?
Vote to accept.
Motion to accept the preschool improvement plan as noted or as stated.
Moving second. Any discussion?
I just want to say again, excellent plan. Fingers crossed everything's gonna work, but I'm worried about staff and the kids from what's been presented to you from you tonight and at our previous meetings. So we're here to support you the best way we can.
I mean, can't do without it.
Exactly.
And there are some kids that, we can we can manage certain classrooms with staffing that we have, and when things come up and there are kids that require that additional support, or two kids in one space, we need to get those supports, and they've been super about making sure that we have what we need, so hopefully that will be what.
I had a good question about your, in the early development is so important. It's really the foundation of the kids moving into these, higher grades. And maybe something you learn through your education, but like, what is do you have like a number or ratio of children that receive these services, at 3 years old? And how many get to be removed from those services by the time they're 5? Do you have anything like that?
By the time they're pre-K?
Yeah.
I don't have any specific data around that. And there are definitely kids that come in and they'll be discharged. Typically, I would say kiddos that are referred to us from EI, if they get to the point, not like hard and fast rule,
Of course.
but if they get to the point that they're being evaluated by us and we are recommending services, they'll stay with those services. It's usually friends that come to us through a parent referral that will be evaluated, may need some support or not, and will be a discharge. EI, by the time they're turning 3 years old, if they're referring them to us, we've had a lot of conversations about, like, not just look and see because we're curious, like, we make sure this is an evaluation that we're having, because it's a lot of resources to take the time to evaluate the kids and make a plan. So if we're getting there with them, they're typically staying on.
I really appreciated your comments about the family engagement. That is obviously crucial at all stages of education, but here in particular. Thank you for that.
We'll call vote, Stephanie, please.
Chair Clancy,
Yes.
Mr. Melvin,
Yes.
Ms. Weason,
Yes.
Ms. Prince. Yes. Ms. Stego,
Yes.
Mayor Longfellow.
Yes.
Thank you.
One comment, say first of all, thank you, Andrew, very much. Not today, but more important for your leadership. You make it sound as if it all can work together easily, that it certainly doesn't. Taking on some big challenges like CPBI, for example, a tremendous challenge, which is, as you said, has really extended our reach deeper into the community. Really appreciate that. And then also really want to appreciate the preschool staff. They aren't wilting flowers, so to speak. Some of those non-wilting flowers here tonight. But what I mean by that, because they really know their stuff. They were really, really good. They work well together. They push you as any group should push a leader. But they are really there for the kids every single day. I see them every day. They are supportive. They love their students. And again, we hear from other folks and families how good they are. So really appreciate the preschool staff, appreciate their leadership. And it's everything we do is complicated, as you're describing. And for the little kids, I still don't understand it because even though I see them every day and they kind of scare me, honestly. But you do a fantastic job. Very small, they're very unpredictable. Anyway, thank you to you and the staff.
Thank you.
Okay, I just asked them, we're just looking at the budget, looking for the preschool budget, what is it under?
I think special education or.
Yeah, any positions that are funded by the preschool revolving fund would be encapsulated in the special education budget.
So all of preschool is under special education? All of
And also the revolving funds, the
Yeah.
revolving fund pays,
Okay,
also,
okay,
our staff is also. paid for.
Yes, anything on operating, it's on under special education.
okay, thank you for that.
All right, the next item of business is, the public hearing and the presentation of the fiscal year 2027 proposed budget as it was approved at our meeting 2 weeks ago. We'll do the presentation, then we'll take public.
Yes, we did first. I think- Yeah. Go. Okay, folks, so tonight we're gonna go over the budget that was approved, the public hearing by the school committee 2 weeks ago. It's a level service budget because folks, people tune into the budget conversation, even though we've been working on budget since publicly since February. We'll tune in different times, so I'm going to do a little bit of recap. So folks sort of have the same information, and then we'll get to the public comments. So first of all, this is our calendar for the budget calendar. You can see we're at the public hearing right now. The next two most important steps are here, which is May 20th, a week from today. The subcommittee will consider the public hearing budget, and then the full committee will 2 weeks from now, May 27th, consider also any changes and sort of stuff, and also comments from the public hearing, and then vote. Presumably, plans to vote on the budget to submit to the mayor and through the mayor to the city council. So that's what's coming up next. And then it goes to the city council beginning of June. So I'll talk about just a few things in terms of what the budget is built upon, and then we'll get into the numbers. So first of all, what we are continuing to try to build here in the Gloucester School is high quality, engaging instruction and support that results in deep learning and high academic achievement. That takes student belonging, that takes student engagement, and our goals in terms of one of our goals in terms of academic achievement is district-wide for meeting 80% meets and exceeds expectations, and 60th percentile of student growth. It's across any measure that we use and measure in that way. We have many other things we're engaging as well. We really want to make sure we have clear expectations for high quality work, so people know what is expected of them. And then there's coherent support for staff and how to do those things well, and meet their expectations. And there's also accountability for practice. So we know what we're supposed to do. We know how to do it. We know whether it's happening well. And then also clear and helpful systems, procedures, resources that help our school-based staff reach our goals. So really always trying to support our school and our school-based staff and therefore our students as best as we possibly can. The budget is built on our four priorities for ongoing improvement, which we've been working on and have had in place for a number of years. You see the academic achievement targets there on the bottom again. But again, these things working together will improve academic achievement, even student belonging and engagement on many levels. Every single time I speak here during school hearings, my report is about many of those things. Strengthening social emotional learning, mental health support. If kids aren't well supported in a variety of needs, they can't attend to learning. A really important part is strength and special education, and that means our team processes, so school-based teams, how they're evaluating students, how they're assessing them, how they're identifying their needs for if they're have disabilities and they need an IEP, and then also our services or instruction and our programs. All of that really feeds into improving academic achievement and deepen student learning, which is ultimately our primary goal. So just to talk about these for a little bit, I won't go through these too much, but I just want to make sure people understand, as we've shown before in presentations, that our budget and our choices are really based in our priorities and our goals there. So we want to continue to deepen our students' sense of belonging, connect to our schools. If students feel connected to their classrooms, their other students, their teachers, their educators, their professionals, they will learn at their highest levels. Continue to work on reducing chronic absenteeism, and then as we show even just tonight, helping students prepare for their steps immediately after graduation. Make sure they know what that step will be and prepare for that step. In terms of improving academic achievement and deepening student learning for all students, that is really so much about strengthening tier 1 instruction and curriculum. Continue to work on that across all levels, and we'll be able to achieve that. That's also strengthening inclusive practices, pre-K through 12. You heard just about the preschool today, how they have all their classes are mixed for the most part between peer students and students with special needs, and that's the way we approach need to be approaching all of our classes, except for the kids with the highest needs, because that approach benefits all learners, students with disabilities and those without. Moving on, in terms of social emotional learning, mental health support, we continue to work on and don't have it in place fully a multi-tiered system instruction support for social emotional learning, mental health. We certainly have, I would say, quite a bit more support for tier 2 and tier 3 support for students with needs in social emotional learning, mental health, and we'll continue that. And also just great ongoing work led by Amy Kim and others to really, and also Michael Jarvis, to continue to support the needs and the expertise and skill level of our school-based clinical staff so they can support in so many ways so many students. And then last, in terms of priority 4, our goals, again, on special education to improve all different parts of that, from eligibility and assessment all the way to instruction services and then our district-wide special education programs. And that means we're continuing to work on strengthening our evaluation systems. How are we evaluating students? How are we identifying them for eligibility? Are we being accurate and sort of on point on that? And making sure we're providing providing what kids need based on the disability, not what we think we just want to provide them, but what they really need. And then also continue, as we talked about so much, improving our specialized instructional practices and specifically our programs. So those are the pieces we think about trying to fund fully when we're developing our budget. We also had some specific budget priorities for FY 2027. These will come into play tonight quite a bit, actually. So again, really focusing on our highest priorities, and that's high quality engaging instruction for every learner every day. So we call tier 1 instruction. That is, curriculum and materials and professional learning, but also supporting our work on inclusion and co-teaching, continuing to strengthen our special education program. As just on preschool, for example, tonight, but as we've heard again and again, the needs of our students continue to become more and more complex. Continue to need specialized instruction. We see a real need for specialized reading instruction in early elementary. That's growing, but also on the district programs and how they impact our highest need students, but they also impact really good and really well supported district-wide programs. We're the 6 of our 7 schools. They positively affect those students and their families, but also those entire schools. And continue to support career vocational technical education across the high school. And then in terms of not as high priority, but needing to invest in multilingual learning instruction, curriculum support, professional development, then tier 2 academic support. Really on that, we are focusing on inclusive practice and co-teaching are really designed to lessen the need for tier 2 events as they get more and more operational. You will see that there are as we talk through tonight, what we're facing is actually negatively impacting a bunch of the priorities I just talked about. Okay, we'll go into that more. And also, people often ask, well, what are we working towards? Okay, the best example we have are long-term budget needs, and these will be affected by decisions, in the next few weeks, next month or so. Because we may have more needs than we thought we really did. But that's the best sort of direction on where we're headed, what we're trying to fund over time and grow towards over time. And that's now updated every single year. Those are the positions that we want to add in the upcoming years and sort of fight off some each year, which is proving harder and harder to do this year. But that's the best sort of roadmap for folks if they want to look at long term where we're headed. So let me talk about the public hearing budget now. I want to go back a little bit just to tell folks where we came from and what the public hearing budget means. So one thing I won't be able to do tonight is capture or communicate the impact of what we will or won't be able to do because of the budget limitations we're facing. Okay, I can't do that on my own. And I also am not a good enough communicator to tell sort of articulately how much happens each day in our schools, in our classrooms, with our students, their staff, and their families. I will try to do that a few times this presentation, but I can't capture it all. And I don't. So I'll leave folks to fill in details. I think we have some folks here that will. But we started this budget process with a recommendation of a budget that not only made sure we were able to do everything we're doing this year, also known as a level service budget, but also had some targeted investments of $1.15 million. Okay, not a very large amount in terms of our whole budget, but some that were very specifically targeted. The 98% of our budget we were recommending at that point, level services, really maintains our operational foundation, what we're doing now. The programs, the services, support, the outreach, all the teaching instruction happens every day. We want to maintain that, and that's a level service budget. What we're asking for initially was a 2% target investment. It looks like this: general education, inclusion, co-teaching. So improving that, $685,000 in positions, which really is focusing on early elementary education, special education, and multilingual support. And also auto tech teacher, maintaining that in our budget. $300,000 for district-wide special education programs, continue to build those as we have, and then $150,000 investment on instructional technology. as you know, that looked like this. Okay, I do want to be very clear that because of the budget decisions, we made early in the process, the auto tech teacher will be in the budget. Okay, that's a secure position at this point. That's been funded by grants for 7 years now, and we were able to take that on the operating budget as we've been planning to do for 2 years now. Do that, but the rest of this is going away. No target investments that are that we believe required to maintain our progress and keep a positive momentum. Okay. This is one of those times where I try to capture what that means. And again, that's additional. That's when we always try to have each year in our budget is a little bit more. Okay. And most years, not all years, we can do that. But because we've eliminated that extra ask, okay, of target investments, we won't be able to, it really stops us from building some necessary industry programs, okay, for students with complex disabilities. It really stops us from building specialized reading support that's needed across all elementary schools. We have a specialized reading instructor, and we were able to add that last year in East Veterans and West Parish. We do that in other elementary schools. I have to step back from it. Okay. And also that helps on a variety of levels, including balancing out the load of elementary education teachers. They don't have to do their reading instruction. They can focus on other things in the general ed classroom supporting all students. And then also that was moving away from those.
I thought this was supposed to be our turn.
Moves us away from the necessary staff and computer lab upgrades. So those will be delayed. Let's skip this for now. I mean, I will say level funding does quite a bit. If we have level funding, we can continue.
Is that a no?
It is a no, yes.
Thank you.
We always present the budget that's voted for public hearing prior to taking comments. That has been the practice, and that is to keep people informed as to what it is we're talking about, and so they have more detail. So in case they haven't been following along on all the detail, this helps.
I don't see it on the agenda.
Level funding guarantee, level funding is very important. And that's the budget you recommended for the public hearing, okay? So I'll get into the details of that. It allows us to continue the community we have, their academics and leadership and growth that we're doing. That's small class sizes in elementary, and the middle and high school. That's a house approach at O'Malley that connects students deeply to their community, helps them learn. That's our rich academics across the board, expansive K-12 programs. We talk computer science, robotics, and engineering. At the high school, we're broad advanced placements and honors offerings. Our Chapter 76 vocational technical program, all the arts and performing arts and music we do in all of our schools. Level service allows us to continue those things. Okay? It allows us to continue engaging students deeply and making sure we can grow their leadership roles, okay, in so many ways. And also helps us continue the work on high quality instruction and curriculum and improvement of curriculum that we've been doing. And also all the work that we're developing, especially at O'Malley, but also at the elementary school too. Level service funding is necessary to continue those things. Okay. So what does level service mean? It means for us, starting with our budget from last year, $54.23 million, and adding $2.75 million of mandatory and contractually obligated costs. Okay. Now I'll get into those specifics in a little bit. Okay, but just want to sort of give you the big picture right now. That's a $56.8 million budget request. So there is one important piece here that would come out of that. If you see this as 2.75 here, taking off $150,000. Okay, that is for the negotiated paraprofessional one-time lump sum that was guaranteed by the city administration to help resolve the strike. One part of that that was guaranteed almost 2 years ago during the strike settlement. And then the committee voted to remove that from level service. Okay, and is pursuing and working with the city to get that paid for one-time money that's available at the city level. Okay, so what you have recommended for it to be considered at the public hearing is a level service budget. That is $2.6 million for added to last year. Okay, and that is 56.80 million. I'm going to get into now the specifics of those numbers. Okay. So in any school system, the vast majority of the funds go to salaries and benefits for our staff. The same in Gloucester. That means is that for us this year, about 90% of our expenses are going towards salaries and benefits. which means if we do need to make cuts, those go to staff, cutting staff very quickly. If you look further, special education and transportation services, which is another 6% of our budget, is mandatory. Okay, by law to provide those services. So we have a small amount, 5% that's available for cutting. And that is everything else, professional learning, curriculum, supplies, paper, pencils, everything else you can think that any supplies that run a school are in that last 5%. But that's the reason that people ask, well, why are we cutting staff? Ultimately, those are the dollars we have to reduce if we need to. We have 3 areas that are contractually obligated or mandatory. That's our wages through our contract, negotiating contracts, our special education costs, mandatory by law, and health insurance, also a contractually obligated cost. Those almost always go up higher than inflation, often outweigh what any city or municipality can pay for. And particularly right now, you'll see that those dollar amounts are higher than where we are. So just to go through those, is especially education out of district costs. So we anticipate in the FY27 budget $7.6 million for out of district tuition costs. That's not school choice. Those are students who we're not able to service at this point because the programs we do or don't have here. Okay, typically it's students who have very high need. And then to get those students to those schools, we're obligated to pay for transportation. That's at $1.5 million for FY27. This is the history about district tuition transportation. You can see that from the years FY21, really FY22 to FY24, to FY25, very significant increases. Those increases happen across the state. Okay, those increases have moderated since then. And part of the moderation is because we've been able to build district-wide programs in our schools, which have kept more students here. Some kids brought students back to our programs. Okay, we always want to educate our kids in Gloucester, in our schools, and do a better job because of that. Okay. This is our health insurance costs. So health insurance is going to quite a bit this year for a number of different reasons. You can see that is a sort of $1 million more than recently. And the annual increase was larger than usual for really 3 primary reasons. Going back to a year ago. Okay, let me explain that. During open enrollment is typically happening at the same time we're developing a budget. So it's typically not possible to anticipate if there are more people coming on or going off the rolls for health insurance benefits. We don't know that until we're making the budget. So we have to plan for it or just afterward. So we actually had an unusually large number of people opting into health insurance coverage a year ago. Anticipated. More than ever, really. Much higher number. That affects current year, it's FY26's expenses on our costs on health insurance. So that raised higher than usual. We had a few special education positions during this year. For example, as Andrea said, we have kids who come in or kids who develop needs, or we identify their needs during the school year, and they need additional staff to support them. That's happened in preschool this year and other schools as well. And some of those positions we added also to healthcare. Then we are really facing 10% increase in our rates as well. So there's a sort of confluence of factors that have added up to a very significant addition in our health insurance costs. This table summarizes the additional cost and cost increases for the year that are just the mandatory contractual obligated increases. Nothing. Okay.
Please do not interrupt the meeting.
There is, so I'm just summarizing these, okay? So on our operating budget, there's an increase of just over $900,000 for as district tuitions and contract services for transportation. We have an anticipated increase of $1.8 million for contracted salary increases and adjustments for FY27. We have the one-time lump sum payment I mentioned of paraprofessionals. The health insurance increase of $1.3 million. Those mandatory cost increases, okay, again, nothing additional, this is what we're obligated to provide. $4.2 million. We offset that typically using circuit breaker and other ways. And those offsets amount to $1.5 million taken off of those additional expenses, okay? That's how we sort of manage our expenses. That equals a level service budget request or an increase that's needed of $2.75 million. I showed that to you in the block in the graphics there. couple more steps here just to get to the number. Remember, we were requesting that the city not take off of our operating budget of $100,000. The red line. That math is 2.75 minus $100,000 is the $2.6 million level service budget request. That is the you're asking about. And that requires the city to use one-time dollars to pay $100,000 that they guaranteed during the strike settlement. That's the number there to show you. This is the increase shown compared to increases of late. You can see $2.6 million is more than that average there, but in line with FY24 and FY26 increases. Okay, that's again the request that the school committee is making, or no, but that's at this point the budget at the public hearing, $2.6 million increase. Some more details here. So this is by department. Typically, the departments are the schools plus a few other. These departments are determined by Department of Education. That's why you don't see preschool here. You see preschool in the revolving fund, which is a separate funding source based on their fees, and then in specification, the DESE determines how these different how we allocate dollars to each of the departments. And then this is my function code as well. You can see that the largest increase here is benefits and fixed charges. That's 70%. The healthcare we're talking about. And then this is the public hearing notice that went out for the total of $56.8 million for the public hearing budget. I do want to talk about what if our schools do not get level funded. So right now, what the mayor's presented to the city council last week is a $1.25 million budget increase for the schools. The green is what the public hearing budget, the level service request, $2.6 million increase. The mayor's proposal is 1.25. That's a gap of $1.35 million. If the one-time paraprofessional payment is on the operating budget, if we have to pay for that out of our budget, that 1.35 million goes to 1.5 million. Okay, of cuts we have to find to balance the budget. That's where things stand right now. Right, to show you what that means in terms of positions, people, positions, schools impacted. And again, this is a point where I can't capture the impact of all of this. Okay, I was tried to in some way, but I really it's very hard to do that with one person in a very short amount of time. But you'll see district-wide having integrated an IT position. We have our vision services will be reduced and move to contracted services. Preschool and elementary, even third grade goes to 2 classrooms. That's our smallest grade level in the district. It's the only elementary sort of grade level that can be diminished. If we diminish any more, they would have very high class size, and we do not want to do that in elementary school, especially if it's still elementary. Those classes will go from 3 to 2, and have about 20 or 21 students per class. Okay, right now they got hardly less than that. ML service will be reduced from 2.0 to 2.5 FTE attainment. We'll also reduce tutoring services. Mainly middle school, an ML teacher will reduce from services for ML students on instruction from 1 teacher instead of 2. That is largely based and related to the number of ML students will have at O'Malley next year, and also related to where they are in their language acquisition. One of the biggest impacts of O'Malley is the two-person team or two-person house. That'll divide the students who are in the 2-person house across the 8 other classrooms in the 2 remaining houses. And then reduce the number of assistant principals from 3 to 2, no longer 1 per grade level. Gloucester High has the most significant impact. There are a number of reasons for that. One of the primary reason is that no primary reasons, none of which are all that great, very honestly, is that the way a high school is structured, the size of a high school typically means you can have more flexibility and very good students. It doesn't mean it's a good decision to make, it means it's a wise decision to make, but it allows you more flexibility than say you have at an elementary school. At elementary school, you have teachers who are with students for the whole day, typically. And then you have a few specialist teachers, okay, are usually living. It's virtually impossible, it's a very low enrollment, to eliminate a elementary school teacher, because then you go from, 20 students in a class to 30. That's other systems have that, okay, it's not going to go. The high school, again, because of the size, because of the way it's scheduled, the way it's staffed, has more flexibility. And at the same time, very significant impacts to high school. See across the board here, across the academic classes, 1 teacher in each area, and then 2 elective teachers, cabinet design and business. That will make the classes larger. It will reduce the possibility and options that students have and electives. Make those classes larger too. And also reduction of family engagement coordinator for ML students. That's a position, as you know, we've added 2 family engagement coordinators for ML students since I got here, and we're gonna have to let go of one of them. And that, of course, will impact the service and support and connection we have with ML families. All of these positions are creating very significant effects. To describe a few of them, larger class size in 8th grade and across the high school. It interrupts targeted investments to make further academic progress with some of our high learners, especially ML students. Okay, will there be some reduction related service for students? It will significantly reduce the electric class offerings at the high school. It impacts the house structure at the 8th grade, and then reduces the service level and response time to all IT requests. That's particularly notable after last week's difficulty related to IT. And then also another impact is something that we can't do. There's no further progress on building our industry special education programs will lead to more out of district placements. It's also really important to understand these reductions if they have to happen. Okay, the level service budget, they do not. With the level service budget, we do not experience this. Right? But it's important to understand the potential reductions, potential cuts, in conjunction with the recent years. Obviously in 24-25, there were significant staff cuts over 20 positions, okay? And then last year as well, especially for elementary and preschool, they were really cuts or really reallocations, which allowed us to do some important things, supporting our highest need students. Another reason that you see very few reductions at elementary and preschool, because they have felt that going on for 2 straight years. This impact will continue to be felt across all schools. So I think, but then just the calendar here, as I've already described, I do want to say this, that I don't feel I can, as I said, adequately capture the impact on students and staff in our schools if we have a budget that is for low-level service. Folks you have seen on this slide, they've been informed of potential layoffs and have gotten notice of layoffs. We need to do that ahead of time. One, in some ways by contract, but also because it's important to make sure people know what their options and situation is as soon as possible. So if they need to look for other positions, like go other places, they can prepare themselves and their families for it. I wouldn't do it any other way. And then I will say that there are a couple things here that aren't listed. We're still working with their unions on a path forward on that. There are 2 more positions, but as you can see, is 18.5 positions eliminated. If we're below level service, where we are now, and 22.5 people affected. All schools affected. I can't really capture that. I don't feel like I can capture that well enough. But as you can see, there are people here tonight I think are qualified to do so. Questions from the committee?
Any questions on? No. So we will open the public hearing. Just a second. So I just want to say just a couple quick things. We have hundred and twenty-one people online right now as attendees. We also have gotten somewhere between 30 and 40 written communications so far to the school committee, and I believe it is council as well. So just so people know, sending if people are not here or they don't speak, but they still feel like they want to say something, you can send us communication.
I know.
Or just, I'm not sure if you're here, but this woman here, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Marcy.
Marcy is first because we had to interrupt her.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I also want to show hands how many people expect to speak tonight, just for. There's a bunch of. Okay, thank you. Yeah, no one's shy, okay. Great, thank you.
Hello again. My name is Marcy Sadlowski and I'm a resident at 26 Harrison Avenue. I have the privilege of coming before you this evening as not only a lifelong Gloucester resident, but also a career public educator and a parent to a rising kindergartner to be enrolled this coming fall. The professionals at the Gloucester Public School System are seasoned in their ability to spread themselves ever thinner in their steadfast commitment to fostering all the warmth, intelligence, and care that our children deserve. As a fellow educator and an alumni of the GPS, I stand proudly in testament to all that these teachers are able to do with so very little at their disposal. But a cut of 22 positions from their ranks in the coming year would be nothing short of catastrophic to the structural integrity of the education that Gloucester is able to provide. The underfunded budget that Mayor Lundvog is proposing, if passed, to me would feel like a betrayal, not only to the children of Gloucester who would lose so much, but also to the future of Gloucester's community itself. We know what's at stake: increased class sizes across all buildings, loss of electives for high schoolers who are only just now being afforded their first opportunity to explore their own interests. Reduction in EL supports in the face of a culture seemingly bent on exclusion, cuts to services for our highest needs students in special education, and the elimination of K-5 classes where arguably class size is most developmentally paramount, would positively kneecap our educators in their ability to provide the meaningfully rigorous, supported, and joyful education that the children of Gloucester deserve. The proposed underfunded budget, in my opinion, represents a nightmare scenario to parents, students, and educators alike. And this is just not who we are. This is not what we value, and this is not how we invest in a sustainable future for our community. I implore you to uphold your most solemn purpose and safeguard educational opportunities for all students of Gloucester, and unanimously passing the leveled budget proposed by the superintendent. Anything less is a dereliction of our shared responsibility to our children and to Gloucester's future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Fred Lickenball. I've been teaching here for 25 years. I live at 223 The Heights. As Ben was discussing earlier, that the impact of taking a teacher and rifting a teacher out, we've gone through it already. Our science department is down to the smallest amount that we've ever had in my entire career. And we just lost another one yesterday. So that tells me that you guys aren't really caring about the education of the students, because now when we lost teachers before, our highest classes, our electives like electrical engineering, was now only offered every other year. Now we're going to lose one more. AP classes, that's gone. AP environmental, gone. You're talking about the lowest level kids that need the most help. This teacher is teaching those kids. Where are those kids going to go? I'll tell you where they're going to go. They're going to be shuffled into the other classes. And that's going to make the class sizes huge. And it's going to be a separation between those kids who are learning and those kids who aren't. And in fact, if anything, it's going to bring the entire class down. This is the whole reason that we keep these kids into their separate classes, so they can get the special attention that they need to be successful. Now you're going to let one more teacher go in the science department, and that's now going to threaten the electives that we are running right now. And if you don't figure this out, it happens. I talked to you 5 years ago, same thing.
It seems like every 5 years, we end up fighting the same fight. The faces change, the names change, but we're fighting the same thing. We're doing our jobs. And I'm doing it really well. But you guys are making it harder and harder and harder for us to actually do what we're supposed to do, which is make these kids the best that we can and prepare them for college and work.
So I'm Dawn Leone, 110 Prospect Street, apartment 7. So as a parent of an incoming high schooler, that makes my speech even more personal. So I'm coming before you, as I have before, and I absolutely want to thank our school committee for fighting for our children, because this year is probably the most pivotal year. You have us teachers behind you, you have the community behind you, and you have parents behind you. Our journey started 11 years ago. My son was considered nonverbal as he entered the Gloucester preschool. We did not know what his future was going to look like. But because of the dedication of our schools and our teachers and the staff, he is a competent and capable young man. And that didn't happen by accident. It happened through the patience, consistency, and encouragement, and the absolute highest of expectations placed upon him in every class. 2 years ago, my son stood right here before the school committee, and he talked about the importance of his paraprofessional and the difference that they made in his life. And for some parents, speaking in public might be a normal school experience, but for us, it was something we could only hope for. So those moments that happen, we treasure. And they're because of the compassionate educators who have seen the potential in every single child, even when that potential is still developing. And as my son finishes middle school and looks ahead towards high school, his future is once again uncertain. But this uncertainty, it can be eased by making the right choice for Gloucester students. So I'm urging the mayor, specifically the mayor and the city council, to do right by the families and the students of Gloucester. Please fund the school budget that the school committee is putting forward. And remember, our children are not numbers on a spreadsheet. They are our future. And when you invest in the public schools, you're going to invest in Gloucester's future. Please protect our investment.
My name is Robert Ryan. I live at 110 Prospect Street, apartment 7. I am an upcoming high schooler and I'm currently in 8th grade. I am afraid for my future for the programs that have been cut in the high school. I hear that we already have a teacher shortage and we're responding to that problem by cutting more teachers out of the budget. This is not the way to face an issue. We should fund the schools in order to get a better education, because larger classrooms lead to more kids talking, which is, as all teachers in this room should know, a bad thing for education. So if you fund the school properly, we'll be able to get a better education so that we can better invest in the future.
David Enos, 2 Haskell Court. Mayor Lundberg, I would like to address that issue that you started out right in the beginning. It is about the piece of the pie. I've been here several years, several times, talking about the slice of the pie. The city only has the dollars they have, and I'm fully aware of that. And what's happened over the years is the school department has been getting a smaller and smaller and smaller piece of the pie. You can go back and look at this and document it through the budgets. We're down to 32% of the funding of the total city money that goes into the school department. That puts us third from the bottom of the DART schools that the DOE compares us with. In fact, the jump up from us is from 32% to 39.1%. And above that, every other school that the state compares us with as similar districts is paying well above 40% of their total budget into the school system. Superintendent Lummis talked about the impact on learning. I'm here, I can speak from the high school where I work and where we're looking at this in first off the bat, flexible, sure. We're going to take one teacher from each department and 2 from the electives. This is going to leave 35 classes not being run in the school. That's a lot of students. Where are they going to go? As it is now, with some of my colleagues here who teach elective classes, they'll tell you we don't have enough elective classes now. They're trying to put kids back into classes they've already taken. So the way that the school system works is that you need 140 credits or 7 classes a day for 4 years, 5 credits a course, it's 140 credits. 100 of those credits are in the distribution classes that you actually have to take in order to graduate. That leaves you with 8 additional classes. If we do these cuts and we lose these teachers and we lose these electives, I don't even know where there's going to be room to put students into classes. What classes are going to be running? Students will be just forced into classes that they don't want to be in, where they'll become behavior problems. And this is going to affect the learning of everyone. By the time they get to be seniors, what are they going to do? We need to pass this level services budget. There is money in the budget. I looked at the budget yesterday and I saw the number of teachers in your proposed budget was not to change. Yet your proposal of the budget is going to cost over 20 layoffs. That doesn't make any sense to me. I looked at your budget. Thank you. I looked at your budget and there is $10 million additional dollars expected in revenue for 2027. And yet no other departments are here saying, where are our cuts? And lastly, and real quick, if this money doesn't go through, I want to say one thing for the cabinet design class is that this is a very successful and popular program. And canceling a program and transferring a teacher isn't really saving any real money. Moving that same salary from one school to another doesn't change and make any savings in the budget. So if the money is not there, I ask, find another way that you can keep this teacher at Gloucester High School, a very popular class where kids can do hands-on learning, where it builds their confidence. They come forward and say, I've done this with my hands. They're proud of what they've done. They're proud of their accomplishments, and it makes them better students and better adults. Thank you.
My name is George Black, 7 Riverside Ave, 2013 graduate of Gloucester High School. Took cabinet making every single elective opportunity that I had. I'm a 4th generation graduate of Gloucester High School. You might wonder why that's relevant, and hopefully I make it evident. I believe that Gloucester is a unique place, that the high school plays a critical role in shaping our young adults. Among the 4 generations of graduates in my family, the 1st generation joined the U.S. Army and became a doctor who served Gloucester for 30 years. The 2nd generation of graduates would later become a Gloucester High School teacher who served as the president of the Gloucester Teachers Association. Another of the 2nd generation would become a Gloucester firefighter who served for over 30 years. The 3rd generation would become a lawyer who later become a judge that serves the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Well, this might seem boastful. That's not the point of the argument. And the point of the argument is that they were all shaped by Gloucester High School. They had people who led them along the way, putting students first and teaching them how important the community is, teaching them life skills and helping them along the way, helping them become better people. So while this school committee and administration desires a, quote, balanced budget, I'd encourage you all to think of the responsibilities you have to the students and grant them the same opportunities that the past generations of graduates like my family had.
The opportunities like taking cabinet making and learning life skills and lessons from a teacher like Mr. Rose. Cutting programs with the excuse of a balanced budget is by no means putting students first, and the students should not be cheated of the same opportunity of past generations. Mr. Mayor and City Council members, please consider your obligations to putting our students first.
Good evening. My name is Tim Rose. I am the cabinet making teacher. I'm just shy of 20 years in the district here, and it's with a profound sense of urgency and deep concern that I address you tonight regarding the proposed elimination of the program. As a dedicated educator who has proudly served this district for over 2 decades, I've witnessed the firsthand transformative power of this unique offering. For generations, the cabinet design program at Gloucester High School has stood as a beacon of innovation, practical education. Its consistent recognition, notably by former Superintendent Dr. Sapphire, for its forward-thinking integration of current technology trends and hands-on, enduring relevance of training. Administration understood this, as do countless educators and alumni, that this consistently evolves, staying ahead of educational trends and equipping our students with essential skills for an ever-changing world. Therefore, the recent decision to eliminate this cornerstone program, communicated barely a week ago, has sent shockwaves through our school community. This abrupt declaration, delivered without a prior consultation, without a comprehensive review of the dynamic curriculum, and frankly, without any discernible attempt to understand its profound value, represents a severe lapse in transparency and respect for our students and their educational pathways. After nearly 2 decades of my service, the lack of due diligence surrounding this decision is not merely disappointing, it's profoundly disheartening. To view cabinet design as merely a vocational class creating physical objects is fundamentally to misunderstand its essence. The program is a dynamic laboratory for developing critical 21st century competencies. Students don't just learn the craft, they master digital literacy, engage in iterative thinking and design, and explore the intricate evolution of modern technology. How tools, systems, and processes have shifted and how they must adapt. They are challenged daily to problem solve complex issues, conduct independent research, collaborate effectively within the teams, embrace failure as a learning opportunity, and cultivate resilience required to push through frustration. The finished project becomes a powerful, tangible testament to their perseverance, ingenuity, and profound personal growth of a physical embodiment of every challenge they overcome and breakthrough they have achieved. The cabinet design, the implications of eliminating the cabinet design far extend beyond the removal of the course. The decision dismantles a vital educational pathway, particularly for students who may never engage with traditional shops. It provides an unparalleled access to fundamental principles, design, cutting-edge technology, creative expression, and hands-on problem solving. These experiences are not peripheral. They are foundational, building confidence, fostering an aptitude of innovation that transcends every classroom and facet in their lives. The overwhelming response from over 60 students who have eloquently detailed this have made their words known, and I have those for you. This is not an impact of a struggling program. It is an indelible mark of a truly essential one. Such transformative influence is born from a curriculum that generally matters, deeply engages holistically with young people. What truly distinguishes the program, like anything else, is its utilized tracks, requiring without a multi-year commitment. This program welcomes every Gloucester High School student for a single block for 1 year. It offers an open door, an inclusive entry point for all exploration and skill development that is increasingly rare in the educational landscape. This access to valuable hands-on learning is an asset that our community should unequivocally protect. For over 6 decades, the cabinet design program has served the students of Gloucester. And since my time is up, I just wish you would grant this vital pathway the respect and rigorous consideration to profound appreciation that is undeniably earned through the 6 decades of its community success. Our students deserve nothing less.
Hi there, my name is Vanessa Lindberg. I'm the multilingual learner liaison here at Gloucester High School. And rather than speak for myself, I would like to invite my friends here, family representatives, to speak on my behalf. The only issue is that they all speak Spanish. And so I would have brought a translator, an interpreter, but I am going to have to do the interpreting. We'll try to make it quick if we could be a little bit gracious with the 3-minute limit since we have so many more humans. That would be great. So, ¿quién quiere hablar primero? Gracias.
Muy buenas noches, comité de maestros. Mi nombre es Maritza Trujillo.
Good evening, very good evening to all. My name is Maritza Trujillo.
Estoy aquí para presentar mi apoyo hacia la maestra Miss Vanessa, ya que ella ha sido para mí y mi familia un gran apoyo emocional y académicamente.
So I'm here to show my support for the teacher, Vanessa Lindbergh, because for me, she has been a great support emotionally and academically.
Entiendo que están enfrentando problemas presupuestarios, pero espero que tomen en cuenta nuestra opinión, ya que maestras como ella, dedicadas y están siempre apoyando a la comunidad, creo que deberían de tener un puesto en este lugar.
So I understand that there are a lot of budget issues, but I hope that you take the time to listen to us and what we need as a community, because we need people like her to support us in this community, and without her, we are lacking that support.
Thank you.
Vengo a representar a Miss Vanessa porque a pesar de todo los problemas económicos que
So this is Aisa Nicole. She is the quickest speaker that we have here at JHS and perhaps in the district in any language. But she's also come to support me.
Y sé que la escuela está pasando problemas económicos, pero pues sí, ella, a pesar de todo, no es solo una consejera o algo así, ella apoya a toda la gran comunidad y a los estudiantes que hay gente que a ella cuando necesitan ayuda.
So I understand that you're having economic issues and arguments about money here, but I hope that I can remember everything you said because now my heart is beating quickly. It's hard to remember everything that's being said right now, but not only is she a good sort of advice giver or someone to hold space for us, she helps the larger community in many ways and helps us all to function better here at the school. That was a paraphrasing.
Y que no a pesar de que solo ser una consejera, mayormente cuando los estudiantes latinos necesitan ayuda para cosas así, ella es la que suele ir mayormente todo cuando el estudiante está en problemas o cosas así.
So when our Latino students have problems, questions, concerns, she is the person that handles all. She's the person we go to help handle everything. All types.
Y también veces que la mayoría de estos nuevos es especialistas porque apenas se van a entrar en llegar y no sé que hay algunos, no sé si
no.
Pero igual, si toman en cuenta que quienes pidieron los nuevos, también mayormente los nuevos han sido de gran apoyo.
Yeah, that's true. She's also mentioning that the newer students that we have in our department, which is true this year, we have a more robust and more firm ELD department than ever before. It's finally flowing, finally functioning, and she's just expressing gratitude for the way that the department is working this year. What do you talk about that?
Buenas noches a cada uno de ustedes, directores, maestros, grupo de maestros en general, consejeros, tutores. Creo que todos en todos en este establecimiento son muy importantes. En el grupo estudiantil, cada uno de ustedes son muy importantes para el crecimiento de nuestros hijos. Y especialmente hoy vengo a apoyar a Miss Vanessa, que ella ha sido un gran apoyo para mi familia y para toda nuestra comunidad hispana, porque a veces todos los padres quizás quieren saber acerca de sus hijos, pero no pueden porque no quieren estudiar de inglesa. Entonces, ella ha sido un gran apoyo como tutora, como traductora. Ella ha sido un gran apoyo. Muchas gracias, Liz Vanessa.
Gracias,
Y espero que esté siempre aquí apoyando a nuestros hijos. Yo soy mamá de una niña que fue graduada el año pasado. Tengo también una niña este año y la más pequeña viene en camino. Y yo quiero que ustedes estén aquí para poder apoyarla también. Gracias, Miss Vanessa. Gracias.
Okay, that's gonna
Y
be a lot to
gracias a
translate.
cada uno.
So, to paraphrase, and I really hope that I do a good job because Kendi really doesn't like speaking in front of groups, and she did that for me today, so that speaks volumes in and of itself. I might go from back to front. She mentioned that she has a student who graduated last year, one that is in the high school and one that's coming through, and she hopes that I am here to usher in the last of her children and help her through school. Because as Kendi mentioned, I am the first contact for a lot of families, and not only do I help like as a tutor, as a translator, I'm a liaison, and I liaise with every single department in this building from top to bottom, from matriculation, tours, engagement, welcoming, belonging, all of these things that are principal values of our establishment here. I'm mixed in with it all. So I'm not just a connection point, not just a translator, not just a tool. I'm mixed in with all these folks, and I hope that that's coming through. Esther, this is our last.
Muy buenas noches a todos de la maestros en general. Mi nombre es Esther y estoy aquí para apoyar a Miss Vanessa, que ha sido parte fundamental para nuestra familia, especialmente nosotros los latinos que necesitamos mucho apoyo, y ella ha sido una gran persona para nosotros.
Gracias. So Esther says that she is here to show support for me, that for all of the Latino families that I've been a big support here in the schools. I thank all of you for being brave and coming up and speaking with me. Brian, ¿quieres hablar también? Sí. ¡Qué lindo! Vamos.
Buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Brian, soy un estudiante de Gloucester High School. Vengo aquí a apoyar a mi Vanessa porque yo tengo 3 años aquí y ella ha sido la única persona que me ha apoyado aquí en la escuela, y quiero que siga aquí porque ella pueda apoyar a los demás inmigrantes aquí, porque cuando vienen uno no sabe inglés y ella lo ayuda a uno en muchas cosas. Entonces quisiera que ella siga aquí, que pueda apoyar a muchas más personas que solamente.
With Brian, and he mentioned that he would like me to continue working here at the school, as I am the only person who has helped him, which feels really sad to hear. It's not, I can't take credit for all of that, but he mentioned that I am here for all of the students like him who, when they come here, don't know how to orient themselves. They don't know how to engage. And likewise, the staff and teachers here sometimes are still learning how to properly engage culturally with the parents and families on the outside world. So often that becomes my role as well. Connection in both direction, orientation, and belonging is my focus. Building relationships is my goal. I think that we've maybe demonstrated a few of those here. And I only had 2 hours to prepare because I was in such a daze after getting laid off on Monday that I came to around 2 p.m. and started to send messages. So this is what we've done in just a few moments.
Can I just take a couple of?
Y ahora que conectar en la primera,
By all means, stay right where you are. Okay. So Brittany McGrail, You are online and your hand is raised. You may make your comments now if you'd like.
Unmute, just unmute Brittany.
Yep, it had me join as a panelist and I wasn't sure what to do. So can you guys all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I haven't done this part of it before. So my name is Brittany McGrail. I live at 8 Chapel Road. I'm currently teach 8th grade civics and ELA in Ocean House at O'Malley. I am one of the 8 staff members at O'Malley there who either lost their jobs or being forced to move positions due to the funding gap. Since starting at O'Malley in 2020, I have watched this building suffer cut after cut. When I was first hired, I walked into my classroom where there was no teacher's desk and no chair, something our contract says is to be provided. When I requested one, I was told the only ones that were available were destroyed. So I brought my own. That year, we had support classes for struggling students in ELA and math. Both of those have since been cut, causing drastic reductions in students' ability to bridge learning gaps and giving students additional time during their day in needed subjects. We have lost our librarian due to budget cuts, making our library unavailable for student use for reading and research. The loss of our librarian and the corresponding library media class has forced us to take time away from content education and shift towards technology instruction. Other cuts have eliminated our foreign language program, setting us far behind our peers. We also had a music teacher spend the first few weeks of school without any materials, no instruments, sheet music, or anything required to teach class. In 2022, the 8th grade team had 3 teams of 4 teachers each, intending to push that out to the other 2 grades. Come 2026, we will have cut this down to 2 4-person teams. How have we fallen so far, so fast? Eliminating our 2-person house would be another gash in the wounded side of O'Malley. The students selected for this style of house are generally your middle ground students. Due to the structure of our school, our students are comprised of Tier 1 and 2 learners. They make up the largest population of students, yet don't get celebrated as often or get individual attention. They are the middle children, often overlooked and trusted to be self-reliant learners. In a 2-person house, that overlook does not happen. Small class sizes and multiple classes with the same teachers every day allow for a deeper and more fruitful connection with students. We celebrate achievements, both big and small. We can afford to have incentives for our students, and we can create an environment where students feel comfortable being themselves. This makes them feel more welcome, more involved, and gives them more pride in being a member of our community. That is what is being cut. The benefits of a 2-person house extend beyond our students and into our curriculum. By teaching 2 subjects, it's easy to use social studies classes to help support literacy and create assignments with the other curriculum in mind. 2-person teams allow for more guided focus on both the academic and emotional learning of our students. This is invaluable when the goal is for students to be learning across curriculum. If we say that every day matters, every student matters. Okay, why are we choosing to take more away from the students? I am not a number and a budget on a spreadsheet. I'm a 12-year teaching veteran with 4 licenses. I am mother to a 2-year-old with another one on the way who has been riddled with anxiety over my livelihood for 2 weeks. I have been worried about my teaching partner, who is in her 3rd year of teaching and is being forced to learn her 5th and 6th curriculum in anticipation of our move. I've been worried about how I'm supposed to make parental leave plans for 2 subjects I am unfamiliar with. The constant feeling of being under a guillotine is exhausting. The connections are undeniable. Last sentence, I promise. A fully funded school creates an environment for better student learning experience, a staff that stays from year to year, and a school that supports all student learning rather than setting us apart from our peers in more affluent communities. Thank you.
Michelle Bailey.
Yes, take a second. Michelle, just unmute Michelle.
There's quite a delay from the time you guys push until the time we're panelists. So thank you. My name is Michelle Bailey. I live at 2 Remington Road. I am in my, I believe, 11th or 12th and last year at O'Malley. I wanted to let you know that it's feels good that the school committee is supporting a budget that does not support what has happened in our schools this week. What's happened in our schools this week has been very emotional, very devastating, and it's really affected the morale of the students and the staff. But I wanted to talk specifically about the elimination of the two-person house in 8th grade. Superintendent Lummis has explained that this is going to add an average of 5 students per class. Unfortunately, averages do not mean there will be 5 students per class. The way we level math means that only certain students are eligible to go into those classes. And as Ms. McGrail just explained, those students in the two-person houses are generally the middle of the line kids. They're not the kids that are going to be placed in our accelerated math program. That means, on average, yes, it will be 5 per 4 different classes, but it will really be 7 in one class, 7 in another, and 6 in the third, and none into the accelerated program. I would really encourage our mayor to come and see how many students are in the little classrooms that we have down on the 8th grade floor. I'm not really sure how you're going to put 7 more desks in there. I really am not. There isn't room for those little, well, big, almost adult-sized 8th grade bodies to move around in those classrooms right now. I hope that you, the school committee, will remain firm in supporting a level service budget. I hope you will consider rallying yourselves as the committee members, the leadership in our school, as the union has, for a supported level service budget. Because if every day matters and every student belongs, every student deserves to have a teacher that brings their best every day and is enriched, excited, and happy in a place where they can make connections. I also just want to remind everybody that when you add 5 students to each class, that's 20 more report cards, that's 20 more connections with their parents, that's 20 more students, not just 5. It's a big burden, and I appreciate your commitment, school committee, and Mayor Lundberg. I hope you will go to your council and you will listen to the community members that this is not what they want. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Alyssa D'Antonio, 25 Langsford Street. I am a proud lifelong Gloucester resident, a Gloucester High School graduate, and maybe my favorite title is Gloucester High School educator. I think, and I love coming to work every day because I believe this is a truly rich community. I believe we're rich in history, which is what I teach. I believe we're rich in character, which if you've ever spoken to a Gloucester resident, I think you know really well. But I think maybe what we're richest in the most and what our greatest resource is our students, our children. And I think that we need to start prioritizing those children in our community and most importantly in our budget, because even though we are so rich, even the richest people still have to make a budget. And the budget that has been put forth is not adequate when we look at what the investment is in our greatest resource. And I was having a really nice conversation with one of my colleagues the other day, Cole Lundquist, and he put it into a really nice framing for me that I think is very simple. When we budget, we have to look at what we want to invest in and what we are willing to pay for. And I think that the education of our greatest resource is now something that you have relegated to what you are willing to pay for. And when you are willing to pay for something, those are the first things that we cut. Those are the first pennies that we pinch. And when we pinch those pennies in our school budget, it's not just a dollar here or there. They are real people that you are cutting. And those are student experiences that are being impacted. So those dollars, those cents, they turn into 22.5 positions. And each one of those 22.5 positions impacts an untold amount of students, whether it be 5 students that a paraprofessional works with, whether it be 10 students that a specialist works with, whether it be a class of 20, a class of 25, or Lord knows a class of 30, because we're getting up in those numbers now. So when you are making those cuts, when we are pinching those pennies, it is not a slow bleed by 22.3 cuts, it is death by 1,000.
make this quick. I'm addressing this towards Mayor Lundberg and also the city council. I'm appreciative for the school committee, how they've been advocating for a level funded budget. My name is Eric Lee. I'm a biology teacher, I'm a biotech teacher, workforce development, and I also work on the state side to increase funding. The voters have gone ahead and voted for the Student Opportunity Act, the Fair Share Amendment, and they realize the investment in education and infrastructure is vital for this Commonwealth for people to be able to survive here. I have put a petition forward just within a few minutes at the high school and then also within just a few members. And I have over 120 students, staff, parents, union members, taxpayers, residents of Gloucester here who are imploring upon you to follow through with the campaign promises that you made to fund education. You were elected and we read your, and I interviewed you as well as the other mayor when the union was deciding who to endorse. In the end, we didn't endorse either candidate because our members were divided as well as but we are unified now to realize here that your actions are not living up to your words, what you had said before. Those are strong words, I understand, but these people have signed that they want to reject any budget that eliminates educator positions, forces involuntary teacher transfers, weakens special programs, intervention services, arts electives or enrichment, increase workloads and reduce staffing support for students, treat schools as expendable rather than essential. You also, during that interview, had said that some of the metrics that we should look at the school, of course, include scores, they include other things, and you mentioned something about teacher performance. You as a former labor management person in the railroads here must realize that the most important thing that ever walks through the door here are your people and what they're able to do. So I implore you, as well as when I give you these 120 voters and other students whose impact is going to be found from really the lack of being able to follow up with the words, then I hope that you'll take this into mind and move forward to the city council and yourself with a level funded budget. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Noelle Perry. I am a lifelong resident of Gloucester, former student of Gloucester Public Schools, and I currently teach 7th grade English Language Arts and Social Studies at O'Malley Middle School. As the daughter of 2 public school teachers, including my mother who has taught here at GHS for over 20 years, I always dreamed of coming back to Gloucester after I graduated college to become an educator in my community. In September, I began teaching at O'Malley in Phoenix House in the same classroom where I was a student 15 years ago. Everything had come full circle. My dream had come true. Then, 1 week ago, in the middle of Teacher Appreciation Week, my dream came crashing down. I was told that my position was being eliminated, and I would be let go due to budget cuts. As personally devastating as this news is, I am not here to beg for my job. I will be fine. After all, a phoenix rises from the ashes. Rather, I ask you to consider the people who this budget will affect the most, our students. Phoenix House is one of 3 teams at O'Malley that consist of 2 teachers rather than 4. Next year, there will only be 2 of these 2-person teams. One of the benefits of a 2-teacher team is that we get to teach 2 subjects each, and therefore spend twice as much time with each of our students. For some students, this is an added bonus. For others, this is vital. Students learn best when they have good relationships with their teachers. The stronger the connection to a teacher, the stronger the connection to their studies. I have students who would refuse to do any work until I gained their trust and respect. Some students do not have stable adults in their lives at home. I take great pride in making my classroom a safe space for all of my students, where they can feel comfortable to try, to stumble, to try again, to learn, to grow, and to succeed, just as my teachers did for me, some of whom are here today. Thank you. With larger class sizes and without the option of a 2-teacher team, the students who benefit the most from this system will slip through the cracks. These students need one-on-one attention during class. Eliminating the amount of classroom teachers that this budget requires us to lose will mean that class sizes will expand to unmanageable numbers. These students need individual attention during class. It is difficult enough to meet these demands in a class of 20. In a class of 25, it is nearly impossible. In a class of 30 or more, it will be impossible. These students will not get the attention they need, the education they deserve.
15 seconds.
Thank you. The children of our community are the future of our community. Whether they come from generations of proud Gloucester men and women, or they moved here last week. Our students grow up to be our doctors, our nurses, our fishermen, our firefighters, our business owners, our educators. An investment in them is the greatest investment we could put into our community. Please do not let them slip through the cracks. Please fund our schools.
Hi, my name is Jack McGurty. I am co-owner and president of Fleet Machine Company in Gloucester. We are a local manufacturing machine shop. We currently employ about 20 people, and I can say 18 of them are Gloucester residents. Okay. I believe tech classes are important because they provide students with the real world skills they can use in college, future careers, and everyday life. These classes teach problem solving, teamwork, creativity, and hands-on technical abilities that are in high demand in today's workforce. Programs such as cabinet design, machining, and engineering help students explore career paths early while building confidence and practical experience. Technical education also supports local businesses that rely on skilled workers and help prepare the next generation for successful, well-paying careers. These programs should remain a major focus within schools because they help guide students toward career paths that can benefit them immediately after graduation. Early exposure to skills such as CAD, taught in cabinet design, machining, and project development are extremely valuable and help students build a strong foundation for future success. Fleet Machine Company has proudly participated in Gloucester's co-ed program for the past 15 years. Helping students gain experience and exposure to real manufacturing environments. Several former co-op students are now valuable full-time employees at Fleet. Eliminating this class from Gloucester High School would reduce opportunities for students to develop practical skills and pursue rewarding careers in the skilled trades in the manufacturing industries locally and abroad. Thank you for taking the time to consider my perspective on this. I strongly believe removing this program would be a mistake and a disservice to students who could greatly benefit from these valuable educational opportunities.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Caleb Perry. I'm a graduate of Gloucester High School from the class of 2019. I'm also a Spanish teacher in the Danvers Public School District. I've seen firsthand, both as a student and as an educator, the impact that overinflated class sizes due to budget cuts can have. My freshman year of high school here at GHS, I had 32 students in one classroom. And because of that, all of these students, rather, many of the students did not get the attention that they needed. Many of the students slipped through the cracks. It is because of these budget cuts that education, the quality of education that is happening, is decreasing. In addition to that, the electives that are being cut are, in many cases, the only reason some students have a reason or will to go to school. When they don't have that will, they don't show up. I have seen this firsthand as an educator. When they don't have that will to show up, those numbers go down, and their quality of life also goes down. Do you want to live in a city full of people who are undereducated, who did not get the materials, the support that they needed? I do not, personally. It is with this experience and with this motive that I urge you to please fully fund these schools. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eliana Samolsky. I live at 20 Causeway Street. I am a Gloucester High School student, and I am directly affected by these budget cuts. I've been trying to advocate for me and my peers and make sure that we are all aware of what's happening in our school system right now. Speaking from my personal experience, it is very important to me that these teachers stay. I've been in Miss Tarpey's English class. and it was the best learning experience I've ever had. And Mr. Barrett, he makes history so simple. Any question I ask, he always has an answer. These teachers are part of my support system, and I know the other teachers that are getting cut are part of other people's support systems. And I went around my school and I got a whole bunch of kids to sign my petition, save our teachers, if you guys would like to see it.
Stephanie Kuchar, 9 Linden Road. Good evening. This message is directed toward Mayor Lundberg and the City Council. This is my 17th year at O'Malley. I serve as an 8th grade English teacher and the program leader for the English department. Typically, I look ahead to the coming school year with excitement, new ideas, and a strong sense of purpose. Right now, I look ahead with sorrow and dread. The sorrow comes from the loss of high-quality teachers who would have made a lasting impact in the years ahead. The dread comes from knowing we will not be able to meet the needs of our students due to the lack of staff and resources resulting from your proposed budget. What you are proposing will decimate our district. Reduced staffing and class size increases will have a ripple effect that impacts teaching and learning every day. The biggest impact will be a reduction of individualized attention. This will make it harder for us to support struggling students and to challenge advanced learners. The result will be decreased student engagement, lower academic performance, and wider achievement gaps. Additionally, these cuts will affect classroom management. Large groups are simply harder to manage, which will lead to more disruptions, less instructional time, and a more stressful environment for both students and teachers. Even the most skilled teachers will find it difficult to maintain engagement and order when numbers get too high. You stand behind the slogan, "Every day matters and everyone belongs," but claims require evidence. The school committee has proposed a budget that supports this statement, and teachers demonstrate it daily through our work. Your proposal, however, undermines it. If you truly believe that every day matters and everyone belongs, then prove it. Provide a budget that allows us to meet the diverse needs of our students and create a work environment where a genuine sense of belonging can thrive. Without that, every day will not matter, and not all will feel they belong. Our students deserve better. Please reconsider your proposal. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Julia Sanfilippo. I've lived in Gloucester my whole life and I'm a graduating senior here at Gloucester High School. I want to speak specifically about the loss of the cabinet design program here at Gloucester and how it affects me as a graduating student. I've been in cabinet since sophomore year and could not be more grateful for my time in the classroom and with Mr. Rose. I can confidently say that without him and his class, I wouldn't be at the successful standing point where I am today. Cabinet design gives students the opportunity to be themselves, be creative, and find their outlet. Whenever I find free time during the school day, you can find me in the cabinet room. When I found out that the program I loved most was going to be ripped away from Gloucester High School, I was shattered. I felt awful, like a pit in my stomach. I worried for the future students like me who struggled in class and needed to find their outlet, and still am. Cabinet design has been at Gloucester High School for 60+ years now. Why take something that helps shape teachers away now? Please listen to our voices and keep cabinet alive.
Hi everybody, my name's Alina Brown, 16 Honeysuckle Road. First off, I want to apologize for my appearance real quick. I came right from my softball game, which we won, if you were wondering. I'm here today. I just got elected president of the Gloucester DECA program, and due to the budget cuts, our advisor, Mr. Frost, is on the chopping block. We came into this year without an advisor after our previous advisor left, but luckily we got Mr. Frost hired, and he made such a substantial impact for me and all my other members. Without him, we wouldn't have advanced as many kids to states as we did, and I wouldn't have been able to advance personally as a state finalist and then as an international qualifier without him. But now he's on the chopping block due to the proposed budgets. And I don't like this decision. I know my 4 other officers don't like this decision. And I know that all of the 40 plus kids in DECA do not like this decision. DECA prepares students like me for the business world, but it's not just that. It teaches us public speaking skills. Like without DECA, I wouldn't be speaking up here right now so eloquently. We learn business skills like finance, hospitality, marketing, and much more. And it's not just some dispensable program that we can just cut just because we think, oh, kids don't care about it, because there's 40 plus kids in this program that want to do DECA and they want to be able to learn. If you look at the commitment pages for the seniors, where they're going, a majority of them are going for business, marketing, finance, and this is something that they learn in DECA. By cutting this program, you're essentially cutting the futures of all these kids because you're just letting them not be prepared, because you're not letting them learn these skills. Now you're just throwing them into college and saying like, I hope you can figure it out, because that's what you're doing. I did have a speech prepared, which is way more eloquent, I would have to say, but my phone just died. But that taught me to persevere. And Mr. Mayor, I want you to please kind of reconsider the budget and reconsider this program, because without our advisor, while we can find an interim advisor, as we did at the beginning of this year, it really limits what we can do. We aren't going to be able to go to Kentucky as we hope. We aren't going to be able to send as many people to states, and we're not going to be able to send as many people to internationals. Our plans are just going to be completely, just basically gutted. So I hope you can reconsider, because when we compare ourselves to other districts like King Philip, Danvers, Westford Academy, they're sending 100 plus students to states. They're sending 50, 90 people to internationals, while we usually have 20 to states, 1 or 2 to internationals. And by cutting this program, you're essentially by cutting our advisor, essentially just axing the little chance we have. But by keeping our advisor and reconsidering this budget, you're going to be able to help us flourish, not only now while we're in high school, but in the business world afterwards. Thank you.
I just want to take someone online.
Sure.
Everything. Rayanne, you may speak.
Rayanne, just unmute yourself, Rayanne. First time. Wow. All right, Rayanne. She unmute herself. Rayanne, we can't hear you. No, she unmuted herself when she's so. Man, we still can't hear you. If you want to log out, log back in, that might work. Then we can take your comments.
Okay.
Okay.
We heard you a little time there. We only heard you a little bit.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Not really. Yeah.
Can
Rayanne,
you
I
hear
think you should. I think you should log out and log
I
back
haven't started
in,
talking yet.
and we'll try it again.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, Rich.
Good. So, lucky for me, I get to follow Elena. Good evening, members of the school committee, Mr. Mayor, superintendents. My name is Rich Friends. As you know, many of you know, I've been teaching here for over 25 years now. And I had a whole typed up speech here, but I don't think I can say what I need to say here, but so I'm just going to speak from my heart a little bit. Thomas Jefferson said, "An educated citizenry is a vital requisite
for our survival as a free people. That is my signature on my email. I look around and I see a lot of former students here. Some of them are now teachers in the system. I see a lot of people who were mentors, mentees in the mentoring program, as I am a mentor leader. Tim Rose was my mentee almost 20 years ago. What are we doing here? At what point are we going to finally admit that we don't prioritize education as priority number one? I don't think anybody is lost. Is lost in the irony that last night, many of us were at City Hall begging for a fully funded budget that Superintendent Lummis has put forth. And then we were followed up by talk of trash disposal.
Which was exciting.
Very exciting. Okay. At some point, we have to tell the city, you know what? Maybe the future of our kids and the future of the city is not priority number one. If we're not going to prioritize those kids in the classroom, over the last 10 years, we've had, I believe it's 5 cuts to positions. And not 5 positions, but 5 years of cuts. This being the 5th in 10 years. Our system is being decimated. And I know Mayor Lundberg, because I was in the discussion with Mr. Lee when you talked to us during the summer and you wanted to talk about performance. But imagine telling a baseball player, go up there and you're going to get paid by your performance. And if you break the bat, that's the bat you're going to use the rest of the season. It doesn't work that way. The teachers are working and doing as much as they can with less every year. And it's about time that we finally say, you know what, we are going to prioritize the children. As David Enos said, compare our budget as a percentage of the city budget, and it pales compared to other cities. And that is including insurance as part of the school department's budget. If you take the insurance out, it's an even smaller piece of the pie. It's about time we prioritize what is going to happen for the future. These kids, I'm looking at kids all over the place. These are successful individuals. I was a teacher to Caleb, to Noel, and a whole bunch of other people. They came back here like I did, like Alyssa D'Antonio did, and a whole bunch of other people because we care about this place. Sari, Carrie Donahue, a whole bunch of people because we care about this place. It is about time that you will give us the tools that we need to help the children become what they can be. Thank you.
Oh, just 1 second. I'm going to have Rayanne give it another try. Stay right there. All right. Okay, Rayanne.
Right, Rayanne, try again. No, Rayanne, you need to unmute. We're on mute. There you go. Now try.
Did that work?
Oh, we can hear you
Hi,
now.
can you
Try
hear
it.
me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try. Can you hear me?
Yes, speak up
Sorry.
as best you can, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I live far away. I've given myself to Gloucester for 32 years. As you may know, I'm retiring this summer. But I just want to let everybody know my position has been cut. I am so proud of the language department at Gloucester High School. We lost a teacher at O'Malley, as previously mentioned, but this is what I'm worried about. We don't have a language program feeder coming for kids to come up to the, can you guys hear me? From the middle school to the high school. But what I'm worried about is we just cut French for incoming 9th graders. I am worried about the Italian program as you are not replacing me. I just wanted to state this for the record, that I'm very worried for the language department. We have worked so hard to develop the language program, the seal of biliteracy. So many kids have just passed. I'm so worried about my position not being replaced. I just wanted to state this, but I'm also worried about the DECA program, the working students, and all the students of Gloucester. Please, school committee, keep pushing for our students and speaking up for us. And I just want to say thank you. And as you know, 2 years has been a long time. So I thank you. I hope you could hear me. I don't know.
Thank you.
Good evening, school committee and Mr. Mayor, Dana Griffin. I was the coffee shop teacher here for 25 years. Tim Rose is next door neighbor for 10. And I'd like to ask you to please don't turn the shop lights off. Every time the shop lights went off in any shop here, as I was here for 25 years, the shop has never returned. Tim teaches transferable skills to everybody that he comes in contact with, whether it be through CAD and so on. Me being a former contractor, we need to have younger blood in. Not everybody gets into the vocational shop. The things that Tim shows the kids are transferable to somebody coming into the trades. I've had people ask me, why can't anybody measure that we have coming into the trades? If one of Tim's students went there, they can measure. Vocational students, they can measure. We just need to give these kids a starting chance at life. Not everybody goes to college. And from what I'm seeing, most of the trade people are making more than one of the college graduates. So I endorse you. Teach him in the shop, leave the lights on. It almost makes me cry every time I see a shop and the lights go off. We used to have a flourishing print shop here. The enrollment went down for a few years. The city of Gloucester, not looking in hindsight, laid off this print shop teacher. And the following quarter after that, the print shop teacher's wages would have been paid for and just the printing that the city of Gloucester would have saved. So don't kick yourself from the rear end by letting a shop leave. These people stay. I have children that are former students that have businesses, they're running jobs for other people, and it's a good way to get through life and have a decent time. So please don't shut the lights off on the shop, because they'll never come back on. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Lewis, and I reside at 356 Forest Street in South Hamilton. But I'm a proud civic educator at O'Malley Middle School and the proud vice president of the Union of Gloucester Educators. I'd like to begin by extending a sincere amount of gratitude to the Gloucester School Committee in their fight for a fully funded level services budget. This school committee has fought for the needs of our students in our community and has attempted to show to this city that every day matters. While we may have been at the opposite sides of the table, my admiration for your dedication and hard work towards funding the school district and creating a better tomorrow has never been in doubt. Our union is grateful for your advocacy, and we look forward to continuing to build the bridges needed to help our students and our community. I want to take a moment to talk about one of my favorite topics, immigration. As we know, our city is a proud city of immigrants. From the earliest native populations to Roger Conan settling at Stage 4 Park in 1630, to the 1800s, when thousands of Portuguese and Italian immigrants decided to pursue the American dream and call this city home, to today, when our city continues to welcome immigrants from all over the world. The city has always been proud of its immigrant past and looks to harbor all those seeking shelter from the storm. Mayor Lundberg, your proposed budget cuts would directly impact the immigrant families that came here to seek the life that so many of our ancestors came here to find. One example of this impact can be seen in the removal of the English learner liaison at the high school. This is not simply the removal of a position. This is the removal of a lifeline for some of the most vulnerable students and families in our city. While the title may say liaison, the reality is that her work extends far beyond the walls of the school buildings. She helps families navigate hospitals and insurance systems, translates during meetings, works alongside other community members when needed, and ensures that families who may not yet fully understand our system are not left to face them alone. One educator described to me a moment where a student was in a dire crisis outside of school, and this individual was the person who accompanied the child to a safe location and then provided service to the family to navigate an incredibly traumatic situation. That kind of work cannot simply be replaced. It cannot be absorbed into an already overburdened system, and it certainly cannot be measured in a spreadsheet or a budget line. From the Portuguese and Italian immigrants who built much of modern Gloucester, to the families arriving today in search of opportunity and stability, immigrants have long been a part of the fabric of this city.
15 seconds.
The support systems we provide these families are not acts of charity. They are investments in the very people who continue Gloucester's story. When we remove positions like this, we are not just cutting staff. We are weakening the support structure for children who are learning a new language, adapting to a new culture, and trying to build a future in our schools and our community. These students and families deserve the same chance, dignity, and support that earlier generations like my ancestors received when they arrived to this country seeking a better life. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Matt Anderson. I live at 28 Woodland Street. Gloucester educator, 20 years, teaching science at the high school. It's kind of difficult. You know, I have a lot of thoughts, a lot to try and cover, right? Too much. And thinking about colleagues that have been lost, right? Cut, potential colleagues that will be caught, programs, plight of public education, the difficulties with city budgets, right? There's a lot to think about. And I'm really thankful for all the voices, right, that we've heard tonight, who have really so well captured a lot of the impacts that we're talking about. So in the end, I'm just gonna try and have two simple messages, right? One is thank you to the school committee for supporting the level service budget. Although I have to say, I wish you had voted for the full budget. One that would continue to develop programs, right, and services that develop our students, retain students, right, as well as bring students back to the district, and maybe even attract students from other schools. To the mayor, right? I was very disappointed to hear you announce a budget number that will lead to significant cuts in our schools. And it also seemed to be predetermined. I believe you are trying to be responsible and disciplined. I also believe you are being short-sighted. Cutting programs and services only has negative effects. I think it's pretty clear, right? I mean, the cuts are going to be impactful in a very negative way. And these effects, we've heard about the effects on the students, but I believe they reverberate throughout the community, right? It's the soul. The school is our soul. So it reverberates in many ways, but also a very tangible financial way. Because I believe that it will lead to even more out of district costs. Thank you.
All right, good evening. My name is Sean Goulart. I reside at 36 Washington Square in Gloucester. I'm completing my 14th year teaching social studies at Gloucester High School. And I want to speak on behalf of not only our Gloucester school community, but also a dear member of the GHS Social Studies Department that is going to be affected by the cuts. Mr. Levis, your slide earlier talked about positions being cut, and it's true, these are positions, but they're also people. The person who is currently in the position of the social studies cut drives 35 miles each way from his home in the greater Boston area to come educate our youth. That's 70 miles each way, each day, with gas currently at $4.46 a gallon. The person who's currently being cut in our department has a wife and 2 children, both under the age of 6. The person who is currently in this position is one of the first staffers in the building every morning after a long drive, and one of the last to leave. The person who is currently in this position designed a criminal justice course this spring that had over 70 students signed up to take it in this fall. 70 students is 10% of our student body at Gloucester High School. That is 10% of our student body who will not get a chance to take the newly created course. This is not only a course, this course is not only a reflection, very good. This is not only a reflection of the exciting new content, but how quickly he became a favorite of students here at Gloucester High School after just 2 years. The person who's currently in this position is one of the few names that guidance constantly stops me and telling me all the great positive feedback they are getting about his performance. The person who is currently in this position left his teaching job to be a Gloucester High School teacher in September of 2024. And through all of this budget talk, he keeps asking me about the possibility down the road to return to Gloucester because in his words, I just love this place. The person who is currently in this position is Jimmy Barrett, one of the kindest, most hardworking staffers here at GHS that has made great relationships with his students and his colleagues and had a long future educating our youth ahead of him. I don't know what that noise was.
It's one of the amplifiers.
No. I guarantee with his skills and dedication to the craft, Jimmy Barrett will be teaching somewhere in the fall, and I really hope it's Gloucester. I would like to extend my sincere amount of gratitude to the Gloucester School Committee for fighting for a fully funded level service budget, save both Jimmy and all the wonderful staffers affected. And on a personal note, if I had known this administration would be running on prioritizing education last fall and then go on to cut 20 positions this spring, I would have voted very differently last November.
Good evening, my name is Bill Goodwin. I used to be the principal of the school. I went all through Gloucester High School as a student, as a teacher, as a coach, administrator, finally principal. I look around, I had some of these kids in class over here, so I've been around for a while. I agree with everything that everybody said tonight. We're all on the same team here, okay? Nobody wants to cut positions and kids. However, that's what we are faced with. What I'm here for is, I gotta tell you, when you, Dana Griffin touched upon this, when you cut a program, it's not coming back. I know that that's on the chopping block, that cabinet making could possibly be not here. And once it closes, it's not coming back. We closed childcare because we needed more room. It never came back. Great program. Kids went through that and became teachers in Gloucester High School. There's one sitting right there.
That's right.
We closed cooking, which wasn't vocational at the time. We closed cooking. I can't tell you how many of those kids you see out working in the restaurants. That's what they like to do. Other kids took it just because they liked to cook. They learned life skills. In cabinet making, problem solving, life skills, critical thinking, all those things come about. I got a son right over here with a hat on. He's commercial fishing. He's got 3 boats, 3 commercial fishing boats. He owns 2 or 3 pieces of property. All these skills that he learned when he did the cabinet making, he didn't do it with Tim, he did it with Jack Sullivan. He takes those and he uses them. I mean, and like somebody else said, go get a carpenter. it's gonna cost you 80, 90 bucks an hour to have somebody come and do this. He doesn't. He helps me once in a while too. If we cut this program, we're not getting it done. If this cut is about space, that's a different conversation. We need to think about that. Overall, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a Gloucester guy. When I was principal, I used to get up in front of the assemblies and I'd say the same thing. You can get wherever you want to go from here at Gloucester High School, and I still believe that. We had kids going to, Salem State, North Shore, Harvard, Stanford, you name it. You can get there from here. We have it. But as we start cutting things, programs, like cabinet making, and if it's cabinet making this year, 2 more years, it's gonna be something else. We lose a piece of what we have, what we are. We are a comprehensive high school. We have a great vocation. I'm a huge supporter of vocation. When I was here, I was always over there, seeing what's going on. We need to keep these programs. Gloucester, you said Gloucester, Mr. Loomis, you said Gloucester High School is flexible. Well, we need to use that flexibility. We have more things. We can't cut programs because what we are, the fabric of Gloucester High School, will be gone.
Hi, my name is Beth Schaffner. I'm a teacher at West Parish. I'm also the secretary of the UGE. Mayor Lundberg, I'd like to speak to you tonight. I got to know you on the committee this summer that interviewed you along with my colleagues that spoke tonight. And then as a private citizen, I voted for you, in part because of your candid and humble admission that you have much to learn about the way our schools operate. And then in your campaign commitment to prioritize education. From what I've witnessed thus far, your understanding of how complex it is to operate a school district is very limited. But that's okay, because you're new in this position and the scope of your responsibility is much broader than our schools. For these reasons, I urge you to put more faith in this experienced school committee. Trust that the fair budget that they thoughtfully put forth is what the schools really need to maintain what we have now. If Gloucester is as broke as you claim, then I ask, why is it that the school system the only city department facing cuts? That's important. I don't think enough people have spoken about that for me. I understand that money is needed elsewhere. There's only so much of it to go around. But again, why is the school system the only city department facing cuts? I don't envy the decisions you must make, but I can't understand the justification for imposing such extreme cuts on the most complex and the most vulnerable city department. In your own words, schools are the backbone of a community. So I urge you, please stop referring to our students as a product, but rather demonstrate your commitment to the education of our city's children, not products, through meaningful funding moving forward. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jack Porter. I am a Rockport resident. Don't hold it against me. I taught in tech here at Gloucester High School for the last almost 19 years now. Tim Rose and I were hired pretty much the same time. I'm here to express my deep disappointment and disbelief at the decision to close the Cabinet Design and Innovation course at Gloucester High School. In an era when vocational and hands-on technical education are being championed by the governor and our state representative, this move to eliminate a thriving, long-standing program is both bewildering and disheartening. This class has been a cornerstone of Gloucester High for decades. I was a student in it back in, 1969. I made a deacon's bench for my mom, and I still have it. It's been through 3 of us. Year after year, that program has been fully enrolled. successful and deeply valued by students and faculty alike. To arbitrarily shut down such a program defies reason and undermines the very spirit of education that connects learning to real skills and creative possibilities. Nobody's touched on numbers. Some interesting numbers. Cabinet making career, Massachusetts Outlook, right from the DESE website today. 19,000 annual openings. 19,000. Think about that. $62,548 is the median wage. Not too bad out of high school without a college education and no student debt. There's currently 2,407 open positions. It's quite a large number, a few more than what Mr. Rose has. I'm not here to pit one group against another. I'm here to try to protect another hands-on course that's being eliminated. If there's a claim of cost savings that doesn't withstand scrutiny, the teacher is simply being reassigned, meaning no payroll reduction occurs. In fact, this move raises serious questions with another teacher now. Well, another teacher may possibly lose their position at a mailing. I don't know, but it just doesn't seem to hold water with me. Worse still, Gloucester High School is losing a dedicated educator and leader, someone who mentors, inspires, and models professionalism and craftsmanship for our students. Eliminating this program is a disservice not only to the teacher, but to every student who might have discovered a lifelong passion for design and construction through this program. I believe this decision is short-sighted, unjustified, and contrary to the best interests of our students, Mr. Mayor. I urge you to reconsider, stand up for this program before it's too late. Let's all do the right thing. Let's keep cabinet design right where it is. I respectfully submit this, and I'm a graduate of 1972. The only one here that beats me is Dr. Goodman. So.
Welcome back, James.
Thank you. I'm James Cook, 10 Knowlton Square is where I live. I have been here many times before, but this is my first time in this particular position in a long time, probably since I was a member of the negotiating team for the GTA 10 or so years ago. Earlier this evening, we heard Superintendent Lummis talk about how difficult it would be to express the details that go in to this budget, to this level service budget, and the losses that would entail. And so you heard all night over and over again about those particular losses, including Jack Porter moments ago, but throughout the evening at all levels, we've heard about the losses, the details of the losses. And each one of those carries a tremendous weight. And when we drop that weight into that particular pond, the ripples go on and on for each of those cuts. And because I know this committee so well, I know that that's exactly why you put forward the level service budget, because you know so deeply what those ripples are in all those different areas. And I've had the opportunity many times to sit through presentations and to give presentations like Andrea's earlier today, where you have so patiently learned about the details and the ins and outs of so many different programs, right? From kindergarten programs, pre-K programs, to our transition programs in the special education beyond the 12th grade, and then things like vocational education, our non-chapter 74 vocational programs, such as we've been hearing about with Cabinet, about our ML students, and the challenges that come with each one of these, the opportunities that we provide for nuanced education for upper level students who are getting ready to go out into the world, and the support we provide for people struggling at every step along the way so they have a chance, right? And I know that that's why you put forward that level service budget. And Mayor Lundberg, I know that you're new to this setup, right, this year. But I think you've gotten the picture of how committed these people are to share not just opinions, but information, right? To bring knowledge. The committee has been so generous to listen and understand these nuances, understand what is essential everywhere. And I invite you to join that, to really understand the
the nuances to understand why each item in a level service budget matters so much. We've heard about what happens with the increase in class sizes. You've heard from very many people. We in fact need to reach the goals that we have, be reducing class sizes, as the original budget is putting forward places where we're going to target, very strategically target areas of improvement so that we can meet the goals that have been set forth for us. And we're heading in the other direction. We have this decrease in electives. Our community has given so tremendously to our vocational programs and to other programs to help fund through the GEF and through other means. And yet the budget won't, if these cuts are there, if the level service budget isn't there, will undermine the places where our community has contributed so much already. These electives are gateways to skills and possibilities that build on the foundation by having reasonable class sizes provide to us. The other thing I want to mention is how crafty people in this room are to find funding elsewhere, right? Whether that's through CBTE programs, our NGROTC program, in so many ways I could go on and on with, right? To make sure that that level service budget can be as low as possible, right? Really saving taxpayers all over the place by being very skilled and crafty, making the money work the best everywhere it can. Finally, as somebody who had been principal of the school for 9 years, I see these as cuts on top of cuts. This isn't the first time. These are deep cuts. You heard former Principal Goodwin talk about some of the losses in the past. These are cuts on top of those cuts. And folks here have fought for those. The committee and other leaders have found ways to keep as much as we can in the past, but we've still already cut so much. So we need to understand that these are cuts upon cuts. And finally, I want to make it very clear that the students we will have in the building next year, it is their only chance at that year, at that grade level. That's all they get. They have one shot. Right? And if we can't support them in that particular year, it also has ripple effects and knock-on effects that we can't get back. We need to keep the lights on, to quote Dana, in all these areas and all these programs. And I appreciate the school committee in understanding that and really fighting for this level service budget. And I would call upon Mayor Lundberg to join them in finding a way to make a level service budget happen. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alex Lejean, and I've been a proud second grade teacher at Plum Cove for the past 8 years. I originally wasn't planning on speaking tonight. However, I had one of my second grade students come to me in tears today, afraid that I was going to lose my job. So that has really affected me emotionally today, and I felt the need to speak. Tonight I'm here because educators are once again being asked to fight for the bare minimum, a level service budget. We're not asking for an expansion. We don't want anything extra. We're simply asking for enough funding to maintain the services our students already receive. And as of right now, those aren't even enough. Yet under the mayor's proposed budget, our school department is expected to cut about 20 positions. What frustrates me the most about this entire situation is that this seems to only happen to the education department. Every single year, teachers, families, and students have to come to meetings like this and plead for what our schools need to just function. Meanwhile, other city departments receive the funding they require without having a public battle, without having threats of cuts, and without being told to just do more with less, do more with what you have. So my question is, why are the schools being treated differently? Why are the people responsible for educating the city's children expected to accept these cuts as normal? Because for the past 5 years, that's what it's sort of become to us. This is a normal thing to happen. A level service budget should not be controversial. It should be the minimum commitment that the city makes to its students. As I'm sure you know, budgets reflect priorities. And when education is the only department constantly being forced to fight for basic staffing and services, it sends a very clear message to the people in the city about where public schools fall on the city's list of priorities. And our students deserve better than that, and our staff and everyone. I urge the city to fully fund a level service budget and stop balancing budgets on the backs of the educators and our students. And Mayor Lumberg, I personally would like to invite you to spend a full day in any classroom in the city and then go back and decide if the decision that you have made is the right one. Thank you.
I'm gonna take somebody else. I'm just gonna take someone online. Oh, so I'm gonna go back and forth a little bit. Okay, Kristen McCarthy.
Just unmute Kristen if you're there.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. So Kristen McCarthy, 26 Lookout Street. As someone deeply connected to Gloucester Public Schools, this is all very personal to me. I graduated from Gloucester High School. Generations of my family have been educated in Gloucester schools. And I currently have 3 of my 4 children enrolled in the district. I'm also a high school teacher at Salem High School, giving me both a parent's and educator's perspective on the real impact school funding decisions have on students, family, and staff. Cuts to teachers, paraprofessionals, and student-facing programs would have lasting negative consequences on students and families throughout Gloucester. These positions are not expendable. Teachers and paraprofessionals are the people directly supporting instruction, special education services, behavioral support, literacy intervention, mental health needs, and student safety every single day. Reducing these positions would increase class sizes, reduce individualized support, and weaken educational outcomes across the district. In particular, Gloucester really needs to preserve and strengthen its career and technical education programming like carpentry or cabinet design. These programs provide students with hands-on, practical, and highly employable skills. Not every student's path leads to a four-year college. Strong public schools recognize that and support multiple pathways to success. And skilled trades are really important industries in Massachusetts and throughout the North Shore. Carpentry, construction, electrical, and other trades are experiencing workforce shortages while offering stable careers and strong earning potential. Eliminating and weakening these programs disproportionately impacts students who rely on applied learning project-based opportunities to stay engaged and to be successful in school. These programs are also economic investments in Gloucester itself. They help develop future local workforce that can remain in and contribute to the community. This is a working class community. In an era where many districts are trying to expand vocational and career training, like at Salem High School, Gloucester shouldn't be moving backwards. There's more opportunities to think creatively and collaboratively about cost-saving measures before reducing student-faced positions and programs. For example, the district could explore regional partnerships and shared services with neighboring communities to reduce operational costs. A significant area for savings could be out-of-district transportation, which is a huge financial burden on many school districts. Coordinating or sharing transportation services with nearby districts for students attending similar programs could help reduce redundant transportation expenses while maintaining required services for students. Students shouldn't bear the burden of budget balancing when alternatives exist. Our schools are one of the city's most important investments. Strong schools strengthen property values, attract families, support local economy, and build the future of the community. Once these programs are cut and the educators are lost, rebuilding them is difficult, expensive, and usually just doesn't happen. Our students deserve stability, opportunity, and investment. Last sentence. Not continued cuts to the programs and the people that serve them directly. And I urge you to reconsider the proposed cuts to student-facing positions and programs. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Cecilia Carrazza, 6 Naomi Drive. I first would like to defend Mayor Lundberg. He is the mayor of the city, not the manager of the schools. And there's been misleading information about the school budget. The school budget is 60% of the entire budget. We're spending Well, I have federal, excuse me, I have federal and state data. And 69.5% comes from the local taxpayer, 21.9% from the state, and 8.6% from federal. And the school committee keeps talking about an operating budget. They don't talk about the total budget because there's over $25 million on the city side that the school committee never talks about. And the last time it was talked about was in a budget and finance committee meeting in 2004. But moving on, in 2004, we had 4,152 students with a $33 million budget. Today, we have 2,780, and we've lost 72 in the last 2 years. If you take inflation from that 33 million, the budget should be 53.5 million. But teachers should not be cut, and programs shouldn't be cut. Administrators should be. We never had an assistant superintendent. We never had a chief financial officer with 5 people on his staff. And there are other areas in administration. And the only way that this should be done is by cutting administrators, not cutting teachers. Because the education in this school, the academic results for over 25 years has put the school in the bottom 25%. The school committee sits up there like the Stepford Wives and doesn't demand real goals and real metrics for success, doesn't pay the superintendent to have skin in the game, but gives every superintendent a raise, and the last 4 have managed to fail. None of them have turned this school around academically. Skilled trades, you need to know how to do math and you know how to read. 30% of 3rd graders are reading and doing math. 70% aren't. If you look at the 2025 MCAS scores, the only grade over 40% is 10th grade math at 41%. So it's not about money. It's self-evident that money doesn't work. More administrators don't work. And they're the ones that need to be cut. Thank you.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Melissa Bennett, the 2nd grade teacher in Gloucester Public Schools. I'm speaking today to respectfully urge Mayor Lundberg to reconsider his proposed school budget. The current proposal would not save money for Gloucester's taxpayers. It would force cuts that would eliminate resources that offer preventative and protective measures for students, such as academic intervention for at-risk students and support services for students with disabilities. Mayor Lundberg, you have said that the budget you have proposed reflects what the city can responsibly and sustainably afford, yet you have given raises to your personal staff, in some cases over 15%. It is far more difficult to repair a safety net once it's broken than it is to maintain one. We are currently paying for achievement gaps that we are now actively fighting to close. Your current proposal simply postpones this expense, and that deferred social and economic cost is always inevitably greater. To put forth the current proposal would be an active choice to weaken the foundation for Gloucester's children for years to come. Help us mitigate an emergency rather than suffer the cost of a profound disaster. Thank you.
Video there?
Yep.
We're good?
You're good.
My name is Glenn Bresnahan. I live on Essex Avenue in West Gloucester. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the heartfelt compassion of all of the speakers before me. I don't think anyone in the room wants to damage the opportunity for any of the students in Gloucester. I think that's everybody's first and foremost commitment. And I applaud the school committee for that, as well as the teachers in the room and the people that have spoken. I look at this from a different perspective. I spent my entire life in the private sector, and I look at companies like Amazon or Google or Apple. They survive in trying times by adapting. And I think that's what our mayor is attempting to do. I look at the mayor's position on the city council as mayor and on the school committee as a two-way opportunity. Number one, he sits on the school committee to listen to everyone here. I think that's spectacular. He also has to take that message from the city and relate it here. I applaud him because the way that budgets are both in the city and in the school committee, the way their trajectory today is not sustainable. We can't continue to do things the same way we have. Now, nobody wants to lose their job. Nobody wants to see anybody lose their job, but nobody wants to see the quality of education drop simply because we don't have the funding to make it happen. I think unfairly, Mayor Lundberg has been criticized on his decision. What people should do is look beyond that and say, look, there's a reason why he's saying what he's saying. I don't think he wants to lose 20 people on the academic side, but he's looking at a financial situation, a fiscal responsibility to the city that says we have to change the way we do business. Now it's up to the school committee, and it's up to the teachers and the teachers union and the citizens of Gloucester to find a way to make it work within the budget. That really, to me, is the big issue. I truly applaud the way that everyone has spoken about their projects and everything else. But I see that as being somewhat short-sighted. They don't look at the overall picture. Gloucester is facing probably one of the most catastrophic budget issues in the sewer system. That is going to double water bills. How many people are going to leave Gloucester, which is going to leave empty seats in the school? We have to look at ways throughout, not just the school committee, but throughout the entire city to tighten the belt. It has to be done, or we're not going to be able to sustain it. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello,
That's exactly.
Roseanne Vidal, 24 Raleigh Shore. I'm really sad to be back up here. I'd like to thank the school committee for agreeing to pass the level funded budget. Superintendent, earlier you said you couldn't provide, you wanted to provide a snapshot, and were unable to provide a snapshot of what these funding cuts, the impact that they would have on our schools, on our children, and on our entire community. And I think we all have a really nice photo album from everyone's talks tonight. And it's really devastating, these cuts. Both of my daughters are in the public schools. I have one at O'Malley who is losing a music teacher. I have a daughter at the high school who's losing an AP teacher, which is really sad. Language, we need all of these things. We need the cabinet making class. We needed maths astronomy class that got cut. All of these other science classes. We're using the analogy of a fabric. It's the fabric of our community. And I really think this is going to lead to its unraveling. So please, I implore you, please pass at least a level funded budget. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy Donnelly and I live at 9 Sumner Street. I am the 3 through 8 science coordinator for the district and I've taught at O'Malley for 25 years. There's not much I can add to the argument for a level service budget that hasn't already been said, but I will add my 2 cents. When we look at the budget, we need to be aware that there are programs in the district that are grant funded. The generosity of donors and the work of the Gloucester Education Foundation allows the district to budget to focus on the must-haves for the district. Secondly, we should be honored to have former students return to teach in Gloucester. To me, that means we provided them with an education that had an impact, and I would like to see this continue. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, I'm Catherine Gooddick, 10 Dogtown Road. I wasn't going to speak at all, but the passion of all the teachers and students that were here tonight touched me deeply. I had a different thought process when I came in, but listening to everybody, I don't want to see any teacher lose their job. Where our education is really at a pivotal spot. We know we've met with you guys before. Our education is not at the top of where it should be. We talk about doing excellence and all of that. If you take away your 22 teachers for whatever the classes are, you're not going to get better results of our students. It's going to make it worse. We're already down at the bottom of in Massachusetts. I don't want to see that happen any further. I am very blessed. I went to high school here, graduating class in 1976, my 50th class reunion. Both of my kids went here. My husband graduated here. You can make something out of yourself, as Billy Goodwin had said. And I think it's important to look at other ways to cut. I spent my career in human resources. I have volunteered and offered everybody here, if you need my assistance, there's other way to find money other than cutting it and hurting the students. They're wonderful teachers. They're really dedicated. They're not teachers that have been here for 1 or 2 years. These are teachers that have been here for 15, 20 years, losing their jobs. We're going to lose them to another school that will benefit, and our students will be hurt by it. I beg you, I implore you all to think again, how can we find other ways of saving money? I'm a taxpayer and I don't want my taxes keep going up. Believe me, I get it. And like I said, I had a different vision when I came here, but listening to the passion of everybody, I really hope that we can find some common ground to work together to find where we can find the money without cutting all the teachers. Thank you.
Good evening, committee. My name is Jeff Tessino. I live on 79 Wheeler Street. I've presented many times in the past as an assistant principal. I've been an educator in Gloucester for 17 years. I've lived here my entire life. I'm a teacher in the 8th grade as a civics teacher. And my oldest son is the first grader at forward. The youngest will be a kindergartner in 2 years. I come tonight not to talk about the cuts, but it's inevitable. I worry that the cuts that are being proposed in the schools will be permanent. We know as a committee, we know as a community that oftentimes once there's a cut, those jobs don't come back. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Dana Griffin was my carpentry teacher. The only academic award I ever got. Right? Dana remembers. Okay, but I've committed myself from that to an educator that is committed to this community. And everyone that has spoke tonight is as committed. Mayor, committee, and others. That said, I beg that we consider the cuts that we're making, the impact, whether it be the ML students, and let it be known at O'Malley, and I can only speak to O'Malley. The families of our ML students do not know the loss they're about to endure. They do not know. They do not understand. And I don't mean that in the language. The services are currently getting that they will not receive next. We know that. We have to make tough decisions. I don't. You all do. You do. We cannot jeopardize students from the top to the bottom to the middle and not think about the impact of that. It's essential that we consider all students, all families of this community. People have spoken earlier about immigrant populations. This community is founded on immigrants. This country is founded on immigrants. And if we don't take that into consideration in this budget, we are going to lose an immediate generation of students and families and a long-lasting generation of students and families. So as this continues and as we are doing the work that you're doing, the tough discussions and conversations that you're having, I ask 2 things. And I'm sure these have already happened, but I need to say it on public record. That the cuts that are happening are essential and they're equitable. So it's not just teachers, it's across the board. It's not just ESPs, it's not just administrators, it's equitable. And it spreads throughout the city budget. And I don't have any knowledge of that, but I want to ensure that it's not just educators and it's not just our most vulnerable population. Thank you very much.
Okay. I know we have much less people net now than before, but I appreciate everyone that has shown up for this. And so many people online, I think we have 145. Obviously, it's a very important subject and we put forth the budget that provide almost all of you have spoken support. So I will close the public hearing. I will continue with the school committee if anybody has any questions on the more detailed.
Just want to explain to the public that the school committee doesn't deliberate now.
Yeah, we won't vote tonight on the budget.
But there's B and F coming up, and then also deliberations 2 weeks from now as well.
Right, and the process is on 2 weeks from now. We have voted this budget for public hearing. In 2 weeks, we will vote the budget that we then send to the mayor's office. And that will be what we present then to the city council. And, hopefully get their support. Okay, that's the process then. So the budget committee. Do we have questions or things on the budget before we finish the budget topic? That anybody wants to say this evening? Or ask? Usually we tend not to, but there's a lot going around. Just want to give both the option to ask questions.
I don't have any questions because I know the process. I've been looking for some time and I know there's conversations to come. There's something to be made right at the end of the meeting. But just want to reiterate, you said just thank you to all that came out and spoke tonight in favor of what the school committee's position is and listening also to those who may not essentially agree. Like I said, lots of work to do, conversations we had, and we'll have.
I would just add to that I think sometimes it's best to just kind of let things settle and kind of words have been spoken tonight and it's okay for us to kind of digest those, but take them to heart. So I too appreciate people coming out. Those students that spoke, tremendous impact and a lot of people really see your impact on at least me personally. I appreciate that.
Okay. Right, next item of business is the second reading of the auto shop service fees. And you have in front of you what we went through last meeting as a first reading. This is the second reading because this is the policy.
The only thing that changed was we got consistent with the title of the program. It's kind of something you should have had before. No, that was the one piece feedback was Mr. Lemus get it straight with the program. Which I took to heart. We checked it's automotive program. So it should be named that consistently throughout the document.
Okay. Anybody have any? I make a motion that we approve the second reading of the auto shop service fees policy file DP. Second. Okay, any discussion?
Good work.
Yeah, really good work by the program subcommittee.
Jack Porter proud.
Yep.
He's a driving force with us.
Yeah, appreciate Jack Porter and Bud helping out, obviously Brenda as well, but it really came from Jack and Bud. Their request and grab listen. And just to remind you that the second page, which is the list of fees is, they're approving it tonight, is not part of the policy. But anytime there's a change, it'll come before you as well, again, change the fees. So the policy is really just the first one.
Okay, Laura had to leave the call, so we can do a roll. I can say all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Okay, subcommittee report, I believe Laura wanted to hold off since she didn't think she would be here for the part. Knowing nothing else forward, still being worked on. Okay, so that takes care of action because we have no grants to accept today, which is the first time in a long time. And I just want to say under discussion and other communication, you all have a copy of the letter that was sent to the mayor's office requesting the $150,000 one-time additional payment for paraprofessionals. So that formal request has been made based upon our vote. And that copy of the letter will be in our packet next time. It didn't make it to this particular agenda. Okay, so now we are going into executive session. So I move that we go enter executive session pursuant to executive session purpose 2 of Mass General Law 30A, section 21A, to discuss strategy and or to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, and purpose 3 of Mass General Law 30A, section 21A, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with Gloucester Teamsters Local Union Food Service, or Union number 42 Food Service Workers Union, and the Gloucester Teachers Association. Second. Okay, now we need a roll call vote.
Chair Clancy.
Yes.
Mr. Mountain.
Yes.
Ms. Prince.
Yes.
Ms. Davis.
Yes.
Ms. Liakos.
Yes.
Valens.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and that. again,
So
that-
we will, sorry, we will, close the Zoom meeting because we are only going to come out to adjourn. So good night, everybody that hung in there with us. I still see some names, a lot of names, so hopefully you all enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.